Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It's time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and how are you doing?
I am good. It is not easy being here without my housemate.
Your housemate?
My housemate is on a temporary sojourn down to Florida, and so I am, handling a lot of stuff that she normally does.
Oh, Rachel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Rach, wherever you are, travel safe.
Yeah, I know where she is. She's not lost.
No, I didn't say that she was lost. I just said travel safe. That's all I said.
Yeah, she's good. She made it to her destination. Thank you, Sonia.
Guys, we've got a very busy show tonight. We've got Wilkerson coming on in 10 minutes, and then our good friend Zach Foust will be on at 8:15 Eastern. We've got obviously a lot to talk about tonight, but this is something, there's like a couple of directions we can go in to start, but I don't think it should be lost on anybody how precarious our situation is right now, whether it's internationally, whether it's domestically. And I personally think that, we put out a video the other day regarding Miss Rachel, who talks about those that are extremely coward-like in everything that they do. And I would say that of the biggest cowards walking the face of the earth right now, DJ Khaled has to be probably the biggest one. And I'm convinced that there's a lot of dirt on that guy, that there's a lot of skeletons in that guy's
There has to be. And I'm going to, honestly, it has to involve children.
Probably.
It has to involve children. Well, because I can't think of any other thing that he would sell out his entire people for.
Keep in mind, we are almost 3 years in to a genocide. And I don't know where this fat fuck was the other day, but he was somewhere and people recognized him and they came up to him and here's what they were saying.
DJ Khaled, can I get a free Palestine? Can I get a free Palestine, DJ?
Love everybody.
You don't like Palestine, don't you?
Love Palestine.
Yeah, but why can't I get a free Palestine? Why can't I get a free Palestine, DJ Khaled? Can I get a fuck Israel? You love everybody? Can I get a fuck Israel? Can I get a free Palestine? Can I get a free Palestine?
Oh. I would very much like for him to spend the rest of his life encountering Palestinians, like all the time, every day, out in the world.
When people in the hood are telling you you're fucked up, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
You got people that you think are there to protect you, and the hood protects their people, even those that have sold them out and are rich and living in gated communities in South Florida, like he does.
Well, apparently they draw the line at a genocide.
Yeah, even they draw a line at a genocide. I wouldn't say that everybody's drawing the line at a genocide, but there are people in that crowd who certainly are, and that's unfortunate. And that's why when he does what he does and shows what an absolute coward cuck that he is, you don't deserve to be in the spotlight. You don't deserve any of this. And
no, he doesn't deserve his platform.
No.
And I believe in karma. I do. And he will get what he has coming to him. And he definitely should not have the platform that he has. And it is a shame that it's been wasted on him as long as it has been.
Yeah. It's funny. We've often said that the women tend to be much worse on the Zionist side than the men are, at least in terms of how they conduct themselves. Well, unlike DJ Khaled, this is how this is how a Palestinian woman conducts herself when a Zio bastard tries to antagonize her for wearing a keffiyeh. By the way, where's yours?
You know what? It's right here, but I am so warm right now I just came in from doing a whole bunch of stuff outside. So I just feel really warm and there's no air vent in here. And the idea of putting something around my neck right now just doesn't sound good to me. No, people, I love Palestine. I do. Look, I have my keffiyeh. Hey,
DJ. Hey, fat boy, this is how you're supposed to defend your people.
Man, you're a pussy.
coming up to what? Hey, bitch! Get the fuck out of the car, then, motherfucker! Then get the fuck out of the car, bitch! Fuck you! Drive away, motherfucker! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Baby killer! Fuck you! Stop killing our fucking families, bitch!
Where is this?
It might be Miami. I'm not 100% sure.
I believe that. It seems about right.
It reminds me of one of my friends. Well, you know who I'm talking about.
I do know who you're talking about. I was going to say that reminds me of her.
Yeah, that's something that she would do. She'd be like, hey, you want to fucking throw down? I'll throw down. I don't care if you're a guy. Like, that's, and frankly, if it's a Zio bitch man, then yeah, I'm going to put my money on the lady.
Oh, absolutely.
Who actually has something to fight for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's how you got to roll. And I want people to understand that if and when this comes to an end, if and when we find our way out of this, if it ever happens. And I also want to point out, and we're going to talk about this with Zach, even if Congress had voted in favor of eliminating military aid from Israel, they would have immediately moved forward with the conscription of the U.S. and military, U.S. and Israel militaries combining as one. They are a rogue state. They are a rogue nation. They are going down, period.
I love how you keep saying they. It's so interesting to me that you keep separating them from us. We are a rogue nation. We are going down. And they are part of us. So we're not coming out of this without going down with them. We're going down with them.
What I'm trying to accomplish here is trying to get the country to move away from them, and the people that are in control of our government are trying to drag us with them.
That's I know, and I keep thinking that that's just silly because it's not going to happen. What they are doing is facilitating the end of American empire, but we're all going together. You're not separating them from us.
I'd rather not.
That is put in motion. We're already now at what, stage 6 of the 7 stages of decline of empire? It's done.
Well,
and there's nothing that can be done at this point to change that trajectory. But to keep saying we have to separate ourselves from them as if they're separatable. They're not separatable. So they are us.
But if you're going to throw down, if you will, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And there is going to come a time where there is going to be retribution against those that didn't stand up, against those who threw their people under the bus. And
I hope so.
DJ Khaled is one of those people.
And it needs to be that kind of shit needs to be handled in-house. And the Palestinian people need to handle their own.
I love everybody. I love everybody. So you love Zionists. You love Israelis blowing up children. Is that true? You can't say anything negative about Israel?
This is one of those things where people in that community have to handle
there's
it.
no way. There is no way that he is not compromised. There's no way. Of all the people you can definitively say are compromised by their circumstance, DJ Khaled is as high up on the list as you could possibly get. And he's not even that important. He's not talented. What the fuck can he do? Nothing.
No, but again, I believe that people like that will get what they have coming. And especially somebody who's Palestinian, because it is a very small community.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like in the diaspora, the Palestinian community is not large. And by the way, he's from South Florida. So for people who don't know, the Palestinians that I have met when we were campaigning in South Florida, they all know him. They're all like 1 or 2 degrees of people removed from him because it's a very small community and they hate him. They hate him. So yeah, they'll deal with him on their own at some point. He'll get what he has coming to him.
Why don't we talk to somebody who we love? Why don't we talk to somebody who has graced us with his presence for a few years now? And even at the stage of the growth of our channel where we were small potatoes.
We're still small potatoes because, you know, the Colonel goes on like with the big names, like goes on with Nima and Judge Knapp and all the big names.
But he's here with us this evening.
No.
He's one of our favorites and always, like I said, if ever there's a time to have the colonel on. It's when the United States is basically, or the powers that be in the United States are trying to basically destroy the whole country and everybody else around the world. Attacking, starting up with Iran again for the 5th consecutive day. And if that's not enough, Israel is now trying to drag Turkey into this equation. So
because that'll make it all more fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, what would a good war be without the Turks, right?
What would a world war be without the Turks? Exactly. Colonel Wilkerson, welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
Good to be with you.
Hi, it's good to see you. I feel like I see you almost every day, it feels like, because you're always rotating on one of the channels that I'm watching. So I feel like as long as I'm checking in and seeing you and Larry and, and Scott Ritter, and I feel like, okay, I can follow what's going on. And if it weren't for you guys, I don't know that I would be able to follow what's going on. So I'm very appreciative of all of the effort you put in on those shows.
I wish there were more Americans that felt that way. I feel like we're still barking into the wind.
Right? I think people are not capable of seeing the forest through the trees. And I can say this for me, like what I have found with, especially I hate saying the left because the Democrats are not really left, but they're just all about their feelings. They don't deal with reason and stuff. They just care about things that don't make them feel good. And this is the kind of nonsense that I feel like we've been dealing with trying to coax people over on the left to this, more revolutionary way. But
well, I think the Democrats are doing irreparable damage to themselves right now, splitting themselves into at least two fundamentally different parties and not putting themselves together at least to beat the Republicans. I mean, go apart afterwards if you want to. But
well, I think, I have said this for a while and I could be proven wrong, but I do not think that the Democratic Party will have another national president. I do not think that this incarnation of the Democratic Party has anybody in it that can win a national race. And I mean that whether they're going up against Rubio or Vance, and they don't have a single person that can do it.
And the PAC is being set against them majorly in every dimension of the election, legal and illegal.
Yeah.
We saw the other day, obviously, this vote. Massie has been relentless in what he's trying to accomplish, and we're very grateful for that. I have no doubt that he is politically motivated, whether it is for the Senate in Kentucky or, dare I say, president in 28. But he is willing to put himself out there in a way that nobody else seems to want to do. And, you got to give credit where credit is due. And you saw how the votes came down the other day. While everyone is concerned about reducing the military spending that we give to Israel, I think the greater concern, which is something that they're going to try to pass under the cover of night, is the conscription of the U.S. and Israel militaries is one. I can't even believe that something like that is even plausible, but when empires are collapsing, anything can happen. How do you see things unfolding at this point as things really start to heat up? I mean, right now, the only reason I could even see them attempting to push this through is because there is the prospect of a global war happening in West Asia right now.
Yeah, let's go back to your specific comment there. I was recently over at the Decor House where they have a nice library, and I was early, so I went in and I picked a book off the shelf, and it just happened to be Cy Hirsch's book that includes a really revealing chapter on Jonathan Pollard and what he did. All to say that Jonathan Pollard was truly a traitor. Jonathan Pollard should never have been pardoned, and probably should have been hung by the neck until he was dead at Leavenworth. But here's what we're doing. And Democrats notwithstanding, and so many Democrats voting as if they were opposed to this continued relationship with Israel is I think, partly a farce, because they're doing it for political reasons right now, and not necessarily because they really believe it in their hearts. But what we're doing is we're legalizing Jonathan Pollard's traitorship, if you will, his treason, with these rules and new laws that are making a intelligence sharing operation that will be unlike any we've ever had with anyone in the world. And the other side of it is the money and the relationship between defense contractors, Israel, and us. We are making Jonathan Pollard real in the middle of our national security complex. It's unbelievable what we're doing. and the Democrats are going to go along with it, as far as I can tell. So that specific comment tells you, I think, that we're still in deep trouble with this relationship. And then the more general comment would be, yes, we've got two wars raging right now, both of which have prospects of enlarging themselves majorly, and both of which are going to suck us into a point where we have no choice but to join in, and then it's going to go nuclear. That's what we're looking at in both of these theaters. Right now, we're looking at, if the Majlis did what I'm being told it did today, they probably made a decision, and it's going to be binding, that they will leave the non-proliferation treaty. And the other side of that is they will build a nuclear weapon if they haven't already built one, and they're going to reveal it. So this whole conflict in Southwest Asia has a dimension to it we haven't seen yet. We've heard about it. Donald Trump talks about it endlessly. I destroyed their nuclear program. He did no such thing.
Totally destroyed.
It's very much alive and well, and it may well have already produced a nuclear weapon. I wouldn't be surprised if it has, and they're just formalizing it now. But it is going to. And I think they've made a decision now in that position that they just took that says, we're going to present you with the nuclear power very shortly.
I'm not sure that, do we even know that they weren't given that by someone else? And that they, you know, I mean, how do we even know that they even had to come up with that themselves?
Well, that's a possibility. Pakistan comes to mind immediately, but I really think they have agonized over this. They've agonized over the fatwa. They agonized over the death of the Ayatollah, and that sort of disappeared the obstacle, if you will, for the IRGC anyway. But they've quit agonizing. And I think we're the ones, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. I think we're the ones that have done it. They have got the strategic fulcrum now with regard to this war. They're beating us. They're beating us thoroughly. Haaretz said some months ago in a headline that I thought was pretty trenchant, all Iran has to do is not lose to win. All Bibi and Trump have to do is win spectacularly. Well, they've lost. Maybe not lost spectacularly. It could get to that, but they have lost. The two hinge points that are just staring us in the face right now is we do not have control over the Strait of Hormuz. If anyone does, Iran does. And that's going to make a huge difference to world commerce, because now we're engaged in an exchange that is giving Iran real opportunity to go after other targets. They just destroyed one port. It debouches on Oman, but it is one of the significant ports for oil. They just destroyed it. And they've wreaked havoc all the way up from Basra, from Muscat to Basra, and are still doing that. They have hit our fields in Jordan, our aircraft in Jordan, so badly that we're going to have to abandon Jordan. And one wonders where we're going to go, because there isn't going to be much territory left except that group of states along the Gulf that have essentially abandoned their homes and their workplaces from Bahrain to Kuwait and turned it over to us, because that's the only ground we have to fight back with. This is getting very, very dangerous, and it doesn't seem to be registering with Donald Trump. Not at all. There's just a daily tactical maneuver by him. There is no strategy to this. The U.S. has lost the bubble on the nuclear program. That's the most important issue. And secondly, it's lost the bubble on the Strait of Hormuz. And thirdly, if the Houthis are going to be successful, and I suspect they are, they were before, they're also probably going to close the Bab el-Mandab. And we've already seen what they can do to the Saudi oil line. It was supposed to take pressure off the Gulf by putting it out near Jeddah. Sorry, the Houthis are going to get that too. I think we are in real trouble in Southwest Asia right now. And we have a president who doesn't realize it. Or if he does, he's faking it.
I'm not sure with him half the time if it's he's delusional or he's lying or both. And I think it's a combination of both. But it wouldn't surprise me, as absurd as this sounds, if they have somebody talking on the phone that he thinks is a real person, that he thinks that he's talking to the Iranians. I don't know. But like
I've-
he comes on and talks like he's having negotiations are happening. And yet all I see are people like you and Professor Morandi saying, no, they're not. No, exactly.
There have been no
So who
direct
is he
talks.
talking to?
There've been no direct talks whatsoever, and we lost big time on the MOU. We just lost. I mean, that MOU was an admission of defeat, which is why we walked away from it. We said, no, the funeral can go on, and then we'll go back to negotiations. You'll note we haven't gone back to the negotiations because we lost. We lost that whole deal in that MOU. Iran got everything it wanted, and we got nothing that we wanted. And it was pending whether or not what we wanted and what they wanted would be adjudicated again, but it isn't going to be because you're right. There's no diplomacy. I don't think there's been a moment in all of this that a U.S. person identified as a diplomat has talked to an Iranian person identified as a diplomat, or actually probably the most foremost one. We are not doing any diplomacy. We're just shouting from the rooftops, and most of the shouting, as you said, is being done by Donald Trump.
They're not talking to us, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. And I mean, one question I have for you is, it's like, if you were on that team, wouldn't you be advising them, yeah, you really need to pick up that nuclear program about now, because we are not to be trusted with any agreement, even if we made one.
I think it's a done deal. I really do. I think Iran is going to be the 10th nuclear power very shortly. They're going to withdraw from the non-proliferation treaty. They're going to do it just according to Hoyle. And then they're going to say, we got a nuclear weapon, or 2 or 3, like the North Koreans did. They had 12, I think. Got about
Colonel,
50 now, I think.
Colonel, we're in a very dangerous position, I think, in large part because it has finally become clear, even to the average person, that this unholy alliance with Israel is going to be the downfall of U.S. empire. It already is. It's just a question of how far we fall down the mountain. And I say that because, as Jen and I have pointed out time and again, the Strait of Hormuz is the checkmate against U.S. empire, because essentially what Iran has done is they've given us an ultimatum. You have 2 choices. You can either cut ties with Israel, or you can you can cut ties with Israel and save your economy, or you can continue down this road with Israel and lose everything. And that's basically what they're saying. We will put you into an economic depression if you do not back off this relationship with Israel. And now we know for sure things are getting very dicey because this is happening. Israel and Turkey compete for regional hegemony. It is obvious that the saber rattling with Turkey is becoming completely precarious. And Jen, as you pointed out time and again, the Turkish military is not one that you want to mess with.
I think we're already past the point you just suggested we might be approaching. I think we're already past it. I don't think the Iranians are going to talk to us again, period. I don't think they're going to do anything that even remotely resembles a diplomatic approach anymore. They've made up their minds. And what they're doing right now, and what they just did, apparently, further eliminating forces that belong to us on the other side of the Gulf. And I'm waiting to hear how many casualties are coming into Landstuhl in Germany. Hegseth is hiding all this, but I think they have taken out quite a few Americans. They hit a hotel in Oman just a few moments ago. They hit a hotel in Oman that was full of U.S. forces. So, I mean, I think they have injured or killed quite a few that we don't even know about yet. But there is no backing up from this now. I think all we can do is go to hell from here.
What about conscientious objection? Do you see that? Mike Preisner has been leading the effort to try to get current service members to basically back off of what appears to be an escalation with a point of no return. I've heard as many as 60,000 troops are basically bound for West Asia, and how that unfolds, it can't be good. Nothing good will come of it. It's only going to be bad. So my question is, do you see a situation where mutiny becomes maybe a little bit more commonplace amongst service members who simply don't want to die for this Zionist cause, if you will, this greater Israel project?
Well, at the Eisenhower Media Network and elsewhere, the All Volunteer Force Forum, for example, we keep a real weather eye to the 18 to 24-year-old cohort, male and female in America. There, what you're saying is coming true. sad to say. There are people out there now who couldn't be drafted if you tried. There's no way you could conscript them. They would either take off for Canada or Mexico or whatever. But I don't think that's the case within the ranks as they currently exist. And I think Hegseth has been largely successful in creating this sort of thing, because what he's done is he has not only defied the Congress on their limit of 4% of middle category 4, he's gone all the way to 10, 11%. 1 out of 10 soldiers is a McNamara's 100,000, for example. Can't read their name on a guard roster. And what he did to the Congress when the IG reported on him was he said, oh, no, we sent them to school and taught them the test. And then we retested them, and they're not middle category 4 anymore. They're 3. All to say that he's preacher packing, as we would say in South Carolina, the ranks. And he's already cleansed the flag officer ranks to a certain extent, the admirals and the generals. And I think we have a military that is, someone asked me today, where is Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Where are all these generals and admirals who ought to be objecting to what we're doing? Because
why aren't they?
Well, Hegseth has made sure that anyone who would is gone. They're gone. They believe in his version of Christian nationalism. They believe, for example, that women should be nothing but birthers of babies and keep their mouths shut otherwise. We just had the first year go by with no female in the Navy promoted to admiral. This is Hegseth's task, was to get this military in shape for, first of all, not doing what the military did on January the 6th and standing aside and watching it happen and not doing anything. What they want the military to do is not what Milley did afterwards to, essentially say, I was not going to participate in that. They want the military to participate. They want the military to be at least some of them, enough of them to count on their side should they have to conduct a coup again. So they've been crafting this military very carefully. The prayer meetings that take place in the Pentagon. We just had a recent incident with a SEAL team in the theater of operations complaining back to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation about a leader of that SEAL team giving a briefing to all manner of people, Jordanians, Egyptians, others, Muslims, Jews, and leading it off with a Christian prayer. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, this was a guy reporting to the MRFF, telling about how he was really worried about this sort of thing happening at that level in special operating forces. So we have a military, I think, that has been largely crafted to do Trump's wishes for him, domestically or overseas. So you're not going to get a mutiny out of the ones overseas.
I think, though, all of those things that they've done have so inherently weakened the military just based on all the people they've eliminated.
Bingo. Yes. Yes. We've taken what was a real strength of the military, the ability to maintain good order and discipline and high morale with a wide array of Americans, females, males, all manner of religions. You could go up to a rifle squad of 10 or 11 men and women today and find 6 different religions in it, and maybe 2 or 3 different languages. I had friends tell me in Fallujah, for example, that they had to control their squads and their platoons by knowing Spanish, a little Arabic, and English, of course, because that's how variegated our squads were at that time. Not so much so anymore, because Hegseth has been carefully weeding people out and getting people. Here's another thing he did. Lloyd Austin for Joe Biden had compiled a list of extremists. And this list was to be looked at carefully when we were enlisting forces, recruiting forces for the military. Guess what Hegseth has done? He's taken those lists and recruited those people for the military. This is insanity, but that's what we're doing. And it's not good. It's not good from the perspective of warfighting. It's certainly not good for security. And I think it's aimed ultimately at the domestic situation. I hate to say that, but I think it is. And I think ICE is another component of that.
Yeah. It's all interconnected.
Yep.
And that's when people think that this is only going to be happening to undocumented immigrants. They're delusional.
I think
because
so too.
all of us who are technically Antifa, you know, anybody who's anti-fascist, of course, Colonel Wilkerson, do you know where the international meetings are for Antifa? Because I haven't been able to find them. I mean, apparently it's a whole big group of people and I haven't been able to locate them, but all of us are going to be on that list.
Well, I think a lot of us are already on that list.
Exactly.
To be truthful, I think a lot of us are already on it. And I shudder to think how many people that I know that I work with are probably on that list. And
Yeah, but at what point,
I wonder when the knock on the door is going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at what point does the American people rebel? Because I feel like we're getting to a point now, and I've always said the biggest reason this country is.
But how do you rebel when you weigh 300 pounds or chomping down on a Big Mac and drinking a Coke and watching FIFA?
And
That's
have no education.
And have
How
no
about that?
education. Yeah. I mean, there's 40 million or more Americans like that. I fish in West Virginia. I don't want to cast any aspersions on West Virginia. I fish in West Virginia with my son-in-law. We go in a hotel. We go in a restaurant. There's nobody in there under 240 pounds,
No.
male or female. And sometimes it's much bigger than that. So, I mean, Americans are not just in terrible shape mentally, they're in awful shape physically. So, I mean, I understand where this MAGA component comes from.
I agree. And from the highlight of this particular story, within the administration, there is growing recognition that renewing the confrontation with Iran through the same methods employed in the past is unlikely to produce different results. Duh.
Yeah.
Even a broader military campaign could exact a high political, economic, and military cost on the United States. So I ask you, Colonel, what is the end goal here? I mean, is everybody flying by the seat of their pants? Is there no one with any forward-thinking capability here? I mean, what do they think is going to happen?
That's a question that we at the Eisenhower Media Network and elsewhere that I'm affiliated, we ask that question of ourselves almost every day. Who's in charge? Why isn't General Kane saying something? Why aren't the other flag officers in the military saying something? Why isn't somebody resigning? Why isn't somebody really speaking out? One or two retired people, the admiral in Southern Command who didn't like killing people extracurricularly, and a few others that they've pretty much put aside and gotten rid of. But basically, you're looking at a military that's going along with everything that's happening right now. We've killed over 200 people on the high seas with no due process of law. We have become a criminal nation. There's no question in my mind. We've become a criminal nation. We have no regard for the law whatsoever, not domestically, constitutionally, and certainly not internationally. We are the world's vagabond killer.
Yeah, right. That's like when Peter says we need to separate ourselves from the Zio state. We are the problem. Like you can't separate us from them. They are us. How can we do that?
Absolutely. We're just like them and they just like us. That's the reason we get along so well.
Yeah.
Well, I would take it a step further and say that the powers that be, the people who are pulling the levers of power, because as we've seen, the overwhelming majority of this country does not want to be attached at the hip to Israel anymore. And once that's lost, it's lost for good. But even now you can see in Congress that they're not going to move, that they're willing to go down with the ship. And that's where revolution comes into play, because it's beyond the scope at this point. And when people complain about the fact that the Trump crime family is looting the Treasury and doing everything in their capacity to basically send out the smoke signal that, yeah, the empire's collapsing and we're going to get every last nickel and dime out of the system we can before it all falls apart. And you got people who are complaining and thinking, well, you didn't say a damn word about it when Pelosi and Wasserman Schultz and all of them were doing insider trading in broad daylight. Oh, because they weren't doing it in the tens of billions of dollars that it was okay? No, it was the tens of millions. But it's still criminal behavior. And that's why when you say that at least several hundred have been killed without due process being done, it's because the rule of law is dead. And to prove it, this is why the rule of law is dead. Trump administration announces plan to dismantle the ICC. Attack on international court is a quest for impunity for U.S. crimes. I mean, what more evidence do you need?
This is all in character, I'm sad to say. And I can't find many powerful people, if any at all, in a position to do something about it, who are willing to do something about it. There's no one willing to do anything about it. And as you were intimating earlier, I think the Democrats are feckless. I don't think that they have a chance. And so where's the opposition? They own the courts. They own the courts, so especially the Supreme Court, and they own the legislature with Johnson and Thune. And hell, of course, they own the executive branch. Look at what they're doing. They're running ramshot over everything that is supposed to be an inhibition, at least a customary inhibition on the executive department. There's never been a president that moved as elastically, as thoroughly, as dominatingly through the executive branch as Trump, because he doesn't give a hang about anything. Constitutional law, domestic law in general, he doesn't care.
No,
It's
and nobody
Trump's
seems
law.
to stop
It's
him,
Trump's
and
law.
nobody else stops him. So
No.
it's crazy.
Look at what Patel does. I mean,
Goes on joyrides all the time. That's all he does.
yeah.
Oh, wait. You mentioned Kash Patel, so I gotta, when we mention certain people, we gotta bring up certain things.
Googly eyes.
Yeah. So yeah.
From any of the people that you talk to that are in intelligence, what is their gut feeling at this point? Because it's almost like, it is almost like the Titanic. It's like we're heading for the iceberg. We know we're heading for it. We know we have a chance still to possibly stop it. And yet we're not only not stopping it, we're hitting the accelerator.
And nowhere is that more apparent and more dangerous, in my view, than Ukraine. We are joining the wooden-headed, leaden-headed, dumbass Europeans in thinking still that through the Ukrainians, and we're killing them at quite a quantity, we can get at Russia and we can bring Russia down. Nothing has changed in the major formula that Putin talked about from at least 2014 forward. And that is the existential threat that Moscow felt from any component of the U.S. alliance structure, particularly the ABM systems we're going to put there that were capable of launching nuclear missiles at Moscow in Ukraine. That was the reason he started the special military operation, because that was an existential threat to Russia, to the CSTO, the Collective Security Treaty Organization, NATO's counterpart. What is happening now? We have become a part of Ukraine. NATO has become a part of Ukraine for all practice. We're going to build Patriot missiles there, as ineffective as they are. Lockheed Martin's going to have to deal with that, because the videos that are coming about PAC-2s and PAC-3s not hitting anything coming in are pretty damning. But all that said, Putin is going to get to the point where it is NATO in Ukraine, every capital in Europe represented, and now Trump has put Washington back into it. And then he's going to have no choice. He's going to finish that war in Ukraine, and he's probably going to finish it on NATO's head. I think he's already made a decision that he's got to go to war with NATO ultimately. I think he's already decided that. And we're looking at two monstrous losses, and maybe even one of them or both of them going nuclear. You can't make this kind of stuff up. This is horrible what we're doing. And we're so poorly led that we're just walking into it as if it were a candy shop or something. It's a disaster in both theaters.
I was hoping that maybe some people would get the message that they were sending via Lindsey Graham. I don't know.
Well, you know, have you seen Larry Johnson's analysis of that?
Yes. Yeah. And I something is, look, like, this is one of those where I'll say, I have no idea what happened, but I know what they're saying happened is not what happened.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Larry's analysis is pretty thorough. Train rides, plane rides, all this, it doesn't match. It doesn't go together.
No.
So what really happened? Big question.
If it was natural, then I don't think it would be something worth covering up.
No. No, I can't imagine what it might have been if it weren't natural. I will say this: I don't think the world's going to miss Lindsey Graham at all.
Oh God, no! There's
I'm not.
celebrations everywhere.
Any human being who thinks about it is not going to miss him much. And I'm from South Carolina, and I've known Lindsey for a long time. And my father was right before he died. He said, "I'll never give that man another penny or vote for him again." He promised to be term limited, and he lied.
I just want to know who might have done it because, as I said, I want to know who I should send my fruit basket to. I would just like to know who to thank. You know,
it's a strange set of circumstances in many respects because I think it'd be fair to say Lindsey was the best friend Zelensky had in the United States. So how has this happened and why?
More importantly, why is Zelensky still around?
Yeah, bingo.
I don't understand that.
That was going to be my next comment. Why did it happen to Z?
Well,
that's a very good question. And of course, there are no coincidences, we like to say. They happen because eventually somebody decides that they've had enough. As Jen has pointed out, you have two possibilities here. You have Russia that could have done the deed because they're sick and tired of the NATO saber rattling that Graham was at the forefront of, especially, again, it's South Carolina. He represents the military industrial complex, which South Carolina is one of the main hubs of, defense.
And he was all over sanctions, over sanctions. More sanctions on Russia, more sanctions. We need more sanctions.
Then on the other hand, Jen, as you've suggested, the people of Ukraine are tired of being massacred. Yeah. And they know that Graham was responsible for them being massacred as much as anybody. And all the while, while Lindsey Graham happens to be one of the most obvious people that you could point the finger at, let's not forget that while everyone has been distracted by this other vote regarding the U.S. military aid to Israel, there is also this committee vote that's happening in the Senate right now regarding the combining of the U.S. and Israel militaries.
Right.
Shout out to
how can you, Colonel Wilkerson, how is something like that not blow your mind?
Treasonous.
It's unconstitutional to me.
As I said, you read that chapter about what Pollard did in Cy Hirsch's book, and what we're doing is we're formalizing and legalizing the treason that Pollard perpetrated. Yeah. That's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're making it de rigueur. This is the way we're going to operate from now on.
Here we go.
Yesterday's list of the Zionist sellout traitors who voted yes to merge our militaries together. For the AIPAC All-Stars, we got Marsha Blackburn and Tel Aviv Ted, just to name a few. Most disappointed with is Senator Rand Paul, or should I say?
You got to be
kidding me. That's a little disappointing.
You got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah, that surprised me. That really surprised me.
Oh.
And no excuse. To me, everything that you've ever worked for to push anti-big government policy. Hey,
everybody on that list has been compromised. That's how I see it. Those are all compromised people that should not be representing.
But I'm looking at the names and saying most of them are already compromised.
Oh, yeah.
I don't call Ted anything but Genesis Ted. And he doesn't even know Genesis very well, as Tucker made very clear.
Yeah.
I get my national security advice from Genesis. What chapter? What verse? Right. Well, I get it from Genesis.
So typical. And again, it really goes to show you how compromised the GOP is right now with Israel, beyond words. And
but I wouldn't let the Democrats out of the bag either, regardless.
No.
Regardless of this vote. I think Chuck Schumer's so deeply in Israel's back pocket. And
if you remember, Colonel, it's why the two parties are basically the same, with very little ancillary on the periphery differences. Very little. Because in this case, if this was Ukraine, for example, you would see nothing but D's next to the names with the Ukraine flag. Now you have the Israeli flag, and now you have all the GOP. It goes back and forth, back and forth. You will never have somebody, with rare exception like Thomas Massie, who absolutely falls where he needs to. And then we see what happens. They put 30+ million into a primary election in Eastern Kentucky, one of the poorest regions in the United States. So no surprise, we are a compromised nation, and there's more to go here.
Who claims to be a constitution. constitutionalist, but doesn't realize merging militaries with the enemy is treason? But don't worry, guys.
I also want to say, anytime, and I mean anytime, I see some son of a bitch walking around with that flag, with that combined U.S.-Israel flag, you are a traitor to this country. You should be treated as such, as a committer of treason. That is the most despicable, and I love the American flag. Jen and I have a disagreement on this, but I believe the Stars and Stripes is a beautiful flag. And at the end of the day, when I see somebody put this together, like, to me, it's worse than burning the American flag. You have
right. Nothing destroys your sense of nationalism more than another country's nationalism, right?
Call it whatever you want. I can't stand that.
But don't worry, guys. They haven't taken over the executive branch yet. Oh,
right.
What's crazy is even when the bad ones leave this earth, to substitute in his Zionist sister to still vote yes. We were able to delay them yesterday because they needed a total of 60 votes. They only got 51. It doesn't stop there, though, because that same portion of the bill, House just added that part to the Save America Act, which they passed yesterday, which we already know all of these traitors will vote yes on. In Tel Aviv, Ted even looks like Benedict Arnold.
Sure does.
You want real justice from these traitors? We need to go back to how our founding fathers dealt with them in the 1790s when they passed the Crimes Act. Call your senators and let them know you know about the 1790 Crimes Act. Let's wake up.
Is it called for tarring and feathering? Like, how dated is that act that he's talking about?
Yes, but again, if we no longer have the rule of law, and we have reached the point where revolution is the only answer, what is the point of calling your senator or your congressman? There is no point, because they're not going to listen to you.
They don't even answer the phone.
They don't anymore. It's all automatic now.
Yep.
And these campaigns where you send things into them. I've been in congressional offices in both the Senate and the House and listened to their chiefs of staff and sometimes to members talk about how they ignore most of that stuff. Only when it builds to a crescendo on a specific issue that they feel is dangerous to their reelection. And that's not many issues anymore, because they don't pay any attention to the American people in terms of anything that the American people poll in a majority wanting. They disregard it entirely unless it comes into their bailiwick and constituents pour into their office. That's really the only effective way to get to one of them today, is to have 40 or 50 of their constituents go into their office, crowd their office, and tell them to their faces that what they want is not what they're getting. That's the only effective way, and it doesn't work all the time. But these cards and letters that people pile in there, they don't make any difference to them anymore. Look at gun control. 90-something% of Americans wanted something done on gun control. Nothing. It's we do not have a legislature anymore that is responsive to the people. You know, the founders put the Congress in the position they did with the appropriations authority and all the real authority over the armed forces exists in the Congress, not in the president's office, not in DOD, DOW. It exists in the Congress. The Constitution is explicitly, but they've abandoned that. They've totally abandoned it. Actually, the War Powers Act is an infringement of the Constitution. It's a backing up from the Constitution, because it actually says, in essence, you can go to war as long as you report to us and tell us about it. And you got to do it periodically and so on. That's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says explicitly the war power is in the hands of the Congress. But they abandon it because they're chickens. They're cowards. They want to watch the president go to war, use military force, and then if he's successful, cheer him and get all the pundits that come in from that. And if he's a failure, rail against him. That's what they want to do. That's our legislature. Cowards, to a man, to a woman.
Well, they're not real resistance. They're not. I mean, the Democrats are controlled opposition anyway. They're not real. They don't really care. They only vote when they know it's not going to matter.
I'm afraid you're right. I watched Nancy Pelosi derail our legislation, which had passed in both houses, to get the U.S. out of supporting the Saudis way back when we were pushing a lot of intel to them, bombs, fuel, and everything else. And I watched it get fought by her in committee until she realized it was probably going to pass. Then she realized she was losing votes. So she switched because she knew that when it did pass the House and when it passed the Senate and got voted on, it would be approved, but he would veto it. So she got both sides of the argument. She could satiate the people who didn't want her to do it in Israel, and she could satiate the people who did want her to do it, because she did both things, knowing full well that what would result was a veto that would kill it all. I watched her do it. I watched Steny Hoyer help her.
It's the same as what the vote she just did now.
Yeah.
I don't think like, these people just vote because it gives some sort of performative look, right? You're performing for some donor or some group somewhere.
You're like
but at the end of the day, you know it's not going to matter.
Yeah, you're like a trained seal or puppet. Massie was the only person. I talked with Massie at length. Me and Ambassador Chaz Freeman had a meeting with him one day, and Massie was the only person I had any respect for in the House, really. Ro Khanna to a certain extent, because he helped us so much on that particular piece of legislation with regard to Saudi Arabia. But Massie really impressed me, and he gave me the vibes that he was so fed up with the mess in Congress he was leaving. And then he didn't. He stayed around and got reelected again, which was proof of something, because they were after him then. They got him later with $30 million or something like that. But they were after him the time before that, and he beat them. Kentuckians beat them, but he lost the second time.
Funny you mentioned Ro Khanna, because we haven't gotten into that, but I don't know if you caught his interview with Dropsite that Jeremy Scahill did with him. I thought, like, looking at that, to me, that was the end of Ro's 28 possibility.
This was the one on the visit to the West Bank.
He was just on with Jeremy and Ryan, and it was ugly.
So Ro Khanna is obviously the Democrats' answer to Thomas Massie. That's not saying a lot, because Ro is not willing to be martyred the way that Massie is. And at the same time, Ro is the only possibility for a left populist. It's not AOC, but Ro Khanna
not anymore. It's not Ro.
Yeah, Ro Khanna is the one person that the Democrats could run without the corporate money that could potentially be a threat. But as this interview is going to show you,
it's not good.
It's not going to happen.
Millions are dying in these attacks because of the apartheid. You know, Palestinians have a right to kill Israeli soldiers, Congressman. On October 7th, when they attacked the military bases in the Gaza envelope, did the Qassam brigades and Surah al-Quds have a right to kill Israeli soldiers? Yes or no? On October 7th, did Palestinians have a right to attack Israeli military bases in the Gaza envelope? Yes or no?
I mean, I think October 7th's attack was a terrorist attack, so I don't justify.
Was it a terrorist attack when the first targets that were hit on the morning of October 7th were multiple military bases? Did Palestinian forces have a right to attack those military bases?
I am not for violence again in any way. I mean, I am for making sure that we end the occupation.
Do they have a right to do it, Congressman? Do they have a right to attack Israeli soldiers?
No, I'm not going to say that Hamas had a right to attack Israeli soldiers or kill Israelis. Like, I don't think that advances peace or advances Palestinian statehood.
Sorry, Ro, it's
Israel
the
have
law.
a right.
It is. And he knows it.
It's the law. Yeah. International law, local law, whatever you want to call it. I'll tell you another thing that bothers me about that kind of a statement. That kind of a statement disregards entirely, and maybe Jeremy brings this up later, but it disregards entirely the fact that we now know with good analytical proof evidence that the Israelis killed most of the people, not Hamas. Yes. With their Hannibal doctrine. They killed most of the people who died on that day. That's the reason Netanyahu doesn't want any kind of investigation.
No, I think right here, this is just where Jeremy is pinning him down, because he gets Ro Khanna to say, well, Israel has a right to defend itself. And then, but apparently Palestinians don't. And that's the whole thing he's getting him to say. And Ro has no way out of this.
And the only country on earth that really is putting some meat behind its opposition to what we're doing to the Palestinians is Iran.
Yep. They're fighting for the freedom of the world.
Yep.
Bingo.
To drop a single bomb on Gaza in response to October 7th.
I believe Israel had the right to get people who killed the civilians, but not in the way they went about it, which I've said is genocide.
But the Palestinians don't have a right to attack the very military bases that are running the killing operations on October 6th, 2023, or October 5th, 2023. It's a double standard. You're saying there are ways that Israel should be able to kill Palestinians, but there is never a condition under which Palestinians can attack armed, uniformed soldiers of a force that is still considered an occupying force under international law. I don't make it make sense to me how those
I
two
come
things
from
are
a
not
tradition
total
of
hypocrisy.
King and Gandhi. My grandfather was in jail for.
I'm aware of your family history. Do you think King would say, "Well, there's certain they can attack the Viet Cong, but I don't want them to kill"?
I don't think anyone. I don't know what Gandhi would say. I don't think my grandfather would say that the Palestinians should have armed resistance to Israeli occupation. I think.
Funny, international law says otherwise, Ro.
now, if you let's just play that soundbite one more time. If there is a soundbite that says, "Ro, you're not ready for big time," in fact, I don't know how the hell you're even doing this.
It's so pathetic.
Listen carefully.
I don't know what Gandhi would say. I don't think my grandfather would say that the Palestinians should have armed resistance to Israeli occupation. I think they would.
What in the fuck? Like, are you kidding me?
Read the law, dude.
It's not a good look, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not good.
Well, of course, the Israelis would say that they're not an occupying power. They would say that the land belongs to them, that the Palestinians are trespassing, and all these historical illusions that are just bullshit.
But Ro's trying to have it both ways, right?
Yes.
He's sitting there saying, well, I already said it was a genocide. You can't say that and then suggest that they don't have the right to defend that.
Yeah, you can't say it's a genocide and then say trying to prevent the genocide through armed resistance was a wrong thing to do.
Exactly.
Bingo.
Would argue for a much more nonviolent approach. But America, I think, in ending aid, in ending military sales, in not being a defender of Israel in the UN, just vetoing resolutions against Israel, would make tremendous progress. I mean, you know, maybe we're on a scale of 1 to 10, and you're at a 10, and I'm saying let's go to a 6, 7, 8. I don't know where that would be. And right now, America's at a 1.
No, we're at a 10 because of a genocide that was enabled, supported, armed, and funded by the United States. And I am baffled as to how you can say that Israel had a right to drop a single bomb on Gaza in response to October 7th, but Palestinians, according to you, have no right whatsoever to ever kill an Israeli occupation.
Palestinians have right to justice, which is in the case of
do they have a right to armed resistance against Israeli occupation soldiers in uniform? Do they ever have a right to kill an Israeli soldier?
I think if it's a self-defense, if they feel like there's an illegal attack on them by a violent settler or by an Israeli soldier, and that's illegal.
Representative Khanna, the entire occupation of Gaza, the managing their diet, the mowing the lawn, the constant killing of them, the perspective of many Palestinians is that they're being collectively punished and they're fighting for their very existence, and that the bases that surround Gaza were the primary murderers on a military level of the population of Gaza. So what I'm understanding, whether it's Hamas and Islamic Jihad or it's independent Palestinians, how is it that you can stand here and in any way justify the Israelis dropping bombs on Gaza, but never find a way in which it's justifiable for Palestinians to kill an armed soldier of a force that is under international law an occupation force? I don't understand it.
Well,
I ask you
because
to reconsider this position.
It's even worse.
I will look at it, but I don't think that the solution in that area is to encourage
But you're afraid of being
violent.
called pro-Hamas. That's what this boils down to. Because I bet if we were talking off the record privately, and I said this to you, you would acknowledge that people around the world have a right to resistance by all means necessary.
And the other thing he's not mentioning, Jeremy's not mentioning, which he should, is that the occupation is illegal. Yeah. If you're a genuine occupier and you're fulfilling your obligations in accordance with Geneva of an occupying power, then it's a different deal. But Israel has never been a legal occupier, and they're not fulfilling their obligations, even if they were. So you have every right to attack them.
We saw this a handful of years ago, and I've been very clear about this. I thought when DeSantis became the governor of Florida, he actually did some decent stuff. And then the second he decided he wanted to be president, that was the end.
Right.
Everything basically changed overnight in terms of how he was governing. And the same is true with Ro. Ro wants to run for president, and he's thinking about the donor class and who he can't piss off if he says the wrong thing, because he knows that there are other people out there that will, like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is the best example of the worst corporate whore on all of Capitol Hill. There is nothing Ted Cruz will not say to get that $1 million check for his campaign coffers, because he doesn't believe in anything other than money and power. And so because of that, you have people that are already thinking, well, it's already a small trough as it is to who can cut 7, 8, and 9-figure checks, Miriam Adelson. So they're very cognizant of what they can and cannot say. And Ro is no different. He's thinking about what will get me into trouble if I say the wrong thing here. I have to show them that I can say one thing, but in reality, wink, wink, do something else so that they know that they're safe if they choose to get behind me. I got to be honest, and I agree with Jen. I think this 5 minutes, it's a career killer.
Yeah.
It really is. Like in this moment.
Bad.
And it's not even so much that he's saying the worst possible stuff. It's that he has no balls.
Yeah.
Just take a stand, God damn it.
And he is killing his career for anybody 40 and under.
Yeah.
Because they're changing so fast, the 40 and unders. Israel's going to be, well, Netanyahu knows it. That's the reason he's coming here. He's trying to get Trump's blessing so he didn't lose too badly. I think he's going to lose horrendously. I think he's going to lose. I don't even care if the Arab parties come in. He's going to lose. And what's he do then? Well, he's scrambling around right now with this new pre-picked AG, trying to figure out a way to indemnify himself. So he's protected for the rest of his life, he and his wife. But he's in deep, deep trouble, not just from the Iranians, who are getting ready to turn on him again, I think. That's coming. I'm pretty sure of that. They're waiting for being able to coordinate it with Hezbollah. And as long as Israel its disposition is preventing that of Hezbollah, then the Iranians aren't going to do it. But this is going to shift. It's going to shift when Bibi makes a mistake, and then Iran is going to hit him again, and then Israel's going to virtually disappear.
Yes, that's
it-
what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. This is what I've got to get the popcorn. I am so ready for it.
We'll finish it up.
If the
Well, I've always
Palestinians are
been
under
for
illegal
peaceful
occupation-
resistance. You know,
But how is peaceful resistance saying the Israelis?
you know, I
have the right to
mean,
drop a single
just
bomb?
like it's under segregation. I wouldn't have said that go kill people who are engaged in segregation against you. I mean, I'm much more Dr. King than Malcolm X. I mean,
Are you much more slave rebellions were justified against people that were raping, hanging, murdering Africans who had been kidnapped? I mean, I'm sorry. I spend most of my day and night talking with Palestinians, working with Palestinians. My colleague Hossam Shabat was
By the way, most of the
assassinated by the
Palestinians
Israelis, and you're saying they have no right ever to use force.
Most of the Palestinians I met, and maybe a few days, are not talking about the kind of armed resistance that you are. They just want to live their lives in dignity and peace and not have the Israeli settlers oppress them.
But you're a member of the United States Congress who is justifying, albeit you've been very critical of Israel's war against Gaza, but you seem to be drawing a line that says that there are some cases in which Israel is justified to attack Palestinians, but only those responsible for October 7th. But you can't find a shred of justification for any Palestinian to attack the very armed forces operating under a nation state flag that is backed by the United States. And you're saying that there is no condition under which a Palestinian has a right to kill soldiers who are posted at military bases, enforcing by murder and forced starvation and deprivation an illegal occupation of Gaza. That's what doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how you reconcile those two positions.
Because I think that the armed resistance is only going to be ineffective given the power differentials. It's similar to what Gandhi thought in terms of how he took on the British Empire, and that having a moral force of civil resistance and appealing to the world's conscience is going to be much better chance of getting dignity and peace.
2019, the Palestinians organized the Great March of Return, which was a mass nonviolent mobilization at the gates of the concentration camp walls and fence in Gaza. And you know what Israeli soldiers did, Representative Khanna? They had a competition to who could shoot the most kneecaps of Palestinians.
Well, I think that
were backed by Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas. So there's a track record and there's a context. You're talking about tactical issues. The Palestinians have tried that. The Palestinians did.
Well, I think that I think opinion is
down.
I think opinion is shifting now in America, where those kind of approaches would get a better reception in the United States.
I'd like to hear Jeremy ask Ro Khanna just this question. When the British sailed 342 men of war up the Hudson River in 1776, would you have been with the Tories or would you have been with the rebels? Because the Tories outnumbered the rebels at that point about 5 or 6 to 1. You would have been a Tory. You would have been welcoming the British warships. You would not have been with John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Samuel Adams, and the gang that were traitors, according to George III, terrorists, according to George III. That's where you would have been, Ro. That's what you're talking like. That's where you would have been. You wouldn't have been in on the revolution.
No, it's that. But we know this is a class issue. And we know where Ro Khanna is in the class war and who he actually represents. So he can have all sorts of progressive platitudes. But at the end of the day, this is a class war. And he is not a class traitor.
Isn't all life a class war?
Yes.
I mean, we have made it in the society that was post-World War II, at least, and before that, arguably making great progress towards eliminating that sort of life for people. Now we're back on the trajectory to do it again and do it worse than we did it with slavery even.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, Pete is busy taking down all the black portraits in the Pentagon, taking down the women who get put. We had our first year, I think it was our first year in 18 years of not promoting a woman to admiral in the Navy. And it was all Pete. It was all Hickson.
He's just part of the final nail in the coffin. Like, they're destroying the military by taking out all of those people. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. They're hurting good order, discipline, and morale, all the buzzwords we use, but they're also preacher packing the military for some future event, just like they're doing ICE. I mean, we've got the brown shirts, we got the black shirts, we got the Schutzstaffel coming along, the SS, we got everything we need for a takeover.
Colonel, final thought before you go. Obviously, we see where things are heading at this point, and it doesn't look good. Is there any possibility that there is going to be some type of societal uprising that tries to stop this before it basically becomes the point of no return?
I started reading for the third time David McCullough's book on John Adams. It's not quite as riveting as his one on Truman, but it is more fundamental when it comes to understanding our founders. And I recommend to everyone the back page of the cover of that book, if you get the expensive one, because on that page he summarizes the answer to your question. If a government gets to the point where it is inimical to your rights as a human being, you have every prerogative and right to overthrow that damn government.
And as Jefferson said, it is your obligation to do so.
The tree of liberty must be furnished every now and with the blood of patriots. We're past that point. I think. I don't think we have enough courage. I don't think we have enough moxie. I don't think we have enough care.
I think we're going to get there. And the reason I believe this, and again, Jen and I have been talking about this at length, people have not felt the financial squeeze yet for what we're doing in West Asia, particularly with the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
The inflation crisis, because the one thing we know about this administration, there's one thing we know about Trump's mindset. He has a king's mindset that the peasants will simply have to bear the brunt of our financial success at the expense of lesser people. And so when you cannot afford to put food on the table, when you cannot afford to live, people will eventually rebel. And we're seeing it now. Not to the extent that you need to see it to, where you see, a half a dozen instances here and there. You're going to see instances in the hundreds, if not the thousands.
Well,
and at that point,
you
people
may be
are going to feel the need to step up.
You may be describing the future, because if Iran goes on with the targeting that it's doing right now, we could well have no diesel by the end of this month. Mm-hmm. We could have no farmers putting crops in the ground because they don't get fertilizer. And we could have prices, as you were just suggesting, and the affordability index and all the rest of the indicators going off the charts. I mean, it's not impossible if Iran keeps on doing what it's doing. If their next set of targets will take out 12 to 13% of the oil produced in the Persian Gulf, it won't be on tankers getting stopped anywhere. It'll be done. It'll be toast. They'll destroy Ras Tanura, or they'll destroy the even bigger facility north of it. Just totally destroy it. There'll be no more Kingdom of Saud, as Prince Turki Al Faisal once said to me at a luncheon. Well, we'll just go back out in the desert and eat dates. You may be having to do that.
Yeah.
Colonel, it is always a pleasure. And guys, if you are not currently subscribed or watching the Eisenhower Media Network, please make sure that you do. Colonel has been a guest multiple times. We hope that he will be again, as well as several others like Mr. Fritz. And of course, all the best to you.
I had breakfast with him this morning. He mentioned you.
So, by the way, and I'm going to tell you this because I don't know the next time we're going to see Dennis, but we now hear in our production team, when somebody returns a response immediately to Rachel that they got it and they got the link, we call it that they fritzed her, because Dennis is always like so fast, so good. So she's like, I got fritzed. And so that means that our guest has responded.
Good.
I definitely would have been in good shape with being under the command of either you or Sergeant Fritz. Either way, thank you as always. Thank you for your service now and always, and we hope to speak with you again soon.
Thank you for the chance. Take care.
Thank you, Colonel Wilkerson.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So as we transition onto,
I love him.
How could you not?
Love him.
And of course, we love our next guest as well. He is a friend of the show. And he is somebody who, I got to tell you, the one thing I wish we had more time to do is the type of research that I would like to be able to do on a number of these topics.
And when you talk about Zach, I'm picturing, I hate to say it, but it's like, remember in Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe and the chart with the things and like that? That is like, when I think of him, that's what I think of. And he's got like the pointer and the whole thing, except for with Zach, I know it's real. Like, I know it's not imaginary people, but it kind of.
Are you suggesting that Russell Crowe is not John Nash? I mean, it could have fooled me.
I'm just saying
for you.
That when he pulls out the pointer, I get like it's complex. That's what I'm saying.
Here he is to help explain it all. Zach Foust, welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
Not the shout out for the Beautiful Mind.
You know it's not completely off though, and how you're.
It's not. I normally get the Sunny in Philadelphia guy that's going like this in front of his whiteboard and corkboard.
Carol, there's no Carol in HR.
Thank you guys for having me. And yes, I do appreciate the opportunity to be able to research some of these things more in depth for my own curiosity. So
yeah, no, I love it. You are definitely someone that gets all geeked out. And I so appreciate it. Like, as somebody who has always been surrounded by the nerd type, I appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all. I appreciate that conversation y'all were just having. I actually have a couple funny stories about Ro.
Oh, by all means, because right now I'm so disgusted with him that I can like taste the vomit in my mouth. So,
Jeez.
oh
Well,
yeah.
I've met him 3 times now. And I'll preface it this way. So I met him twice. All right, sorry, 3 times. 2 of the times I was helping somebody else that was a creator. So I was there basically secondary. A couple of first times I was out in DC. 3rd time I was there as a creator. Now, the couple times I was there just assisting, I could not understand. Okay, I'll put it in perspective. I got there about 45 minutes early to set up these cameras in his office in Congress. And I sat on the couch in his office for 45 minutes. I was all silent. I was silent. I was set up. I wasn't on my phone. Didn't have my phone on me. Just sipping on a cup of water that his assistant gave me. And he's sitting in the room with me. And he's just diddling on his phone the whole time. Just right here. Just diddling. And I'm like, this is just a weird human experience I'm going through right now. We're both in the same room. We've both been here for 45 minutes. You haven't said a word to me. Now, similar experience happens the next time, but then the 3rd time when I meet with him and he knows I'm a creator, he was on. He was
Well,
there.
who did he think you were? Just a constituent?
Yeah, just like the camera guy, probably.
Oh, so he was just sitting there. He didn't even make conversation with
No
the
eye
person sitting in the
contact,
room?
no hi, how are you? When he walked in, I came
Unbelievable.
over, shook his hand, like, how are you doing, Congressman? I'm here to set up for Tiffany. And he's like, oh, good. And the other thing I noticed about Ro, and this is not to hate on Ro, because he's obviously backing some pretty legitimate legislation around like Epstein and things like that, but it does seem like he just tries to latch on to what will get the most social attention. He has a very good vision, I think, of what the pulse of the people are, and he's very good at latching onto it and getting favor by pushing those issues. I wouldn't like to say he's just a big virtue signaler. That definitely is seen a lot on the Democratic side. But like, for example, when we went to go speak about glyphosate with him, he was basically getting all of his facts about what the legislation said right then before the interview. And yes, to one of your comments, he was just awkward. He's just an awkward individual.
And
But
and you
might
know
be
what?
'cause he's
And
on the
that's an
spectrum.
unfortunate thing, but it's a real thing. And it is absolutely a detriment for someone who is considering running a nationwide race.
Yes.
It just is. Because
yes,
the kind of
there's-
people that can do that are people like Bill Clinton, Zoran, if he were legally able to do that. There are people that have that capability.
Right.
And if you
don't want somebody who's there for their own personal. Sorry,
Well,
I lost you for a second. Thought you stopped talking. That was my
Oh,
bad.
no.
No, I just know how to talk to people because I'm a total sociopath and I just throw all the bad stuff out and keep the good stuff in. That's how we do it.
Well, and I don't think Ro is one of those people. I
I don't
don't.
think it's bad.
But
I
he's a
think it's
coward. And
Yeah.
he's a coward and he's weak. And that is disgusting enough. And we just can't afford that right now.
Right.
So,
Especially at the top.
exactly.
Well, speaking of somebody who has courage, probably the only one. So AIPAC launches a new ad targeting Thomas Massie as he pushes to end billions of dollars in U.S. aid. Okay, so they are not stopping going after him, and he's on his way out of Congress. Although, if it can be proven that Mitch McConnell is actually not with us anymore.
You're talking way too fast to be Mitch McConnell. You got to slow it down.
Yeah, well, that's well, at this stage, I'd say it's probably more in this range. But of course, if he's not alive, then the prospect of Massie running for the Senate to get himself a statewide position in order to run for president, I think is even more likely. But that is part of the reason why, if maybe not the only reason above all others, why they have been stone silent, either on his health, his whereabouts, what's going on. But it also goes to show you that even having a floor vote in which almost 80% of the U.S. Congress votes in favor of Israel, even in this moment, in spite of everything going on, that you have, I mean, look, does anybody really think that Nancy Pelosi voting against military aid to Israel is a vote she would cast if it was even close to passing? Of course not. Not a chance. So the virtue signaling is still alive and well. But just the fact that you now know how captured, this is why we were so much, and when we have our differences with Jimmy Dore, but we were 1,000% in his corner when he was pushing for force the vote back in 20 and said, if you can get these people on the record to show just how corrupt and bought off they are, it's going to open up a completely different mindset to a lot of people who were thinking, it's just the Republicans. If we only got the Republicans out of there, everything will be okay. It's like, no. Democrats are worse than Republicans because they pretend that they're your friend. Republicans, to their credit, always tell you, sink or swim. And if you can't sink, you're not getting a life raft. That's your problem. So I actually give them credit for being that transparently evil, whereas the Democrats pretend like they're not that evil, but in reality, they really are. I know you probably have seen this. Our audience probably hasn't. This is, I'm not kidding, this is an AIPAC ad going out to attack essentially Massie and anybody else who even thinks about questioning military aid to Israel.
Is voting soon on $3.3 billion in annual security assistance to Israel. Representative Thomas Massie has introduced an amendment to eliminate this funding. The United States provides security assistance to Israel because it protects American interests.
Which ones? Which ones? Which ones?
No, it's which Americans.
Right.
They do protect Americans' interests, but very few little small group of those Americans.
Bingo.
In one of the world's most volatile regions, Israel is on the front lines, sharing intelligence and confronting terrorist threats that endanger America and our allies. U.S. assistance to Israel accounts for just 0.05% of the federal budget and delivers real economic and strategic benefits for America. But that investment is under attack.
Yes.
I can't believe this isn't like an onion. Like, this is so funny to me. I can't.
I also want to say, and this is something where they say, oh, it's 0.5% of the budget. How much of the current $1 trillion defense budget, and now potentially jumping it to $1.5 trillion, how much of that money is being done in conjunction with the potential merging of the U.S. and Israel militaries? How much of it is done on behalf of all of the, that we know of, 800 to 1,000 bases around the world, that in my opinion is done in conjunction with Israel? To me, it couldn't be more obvious that, first of all, they only lie, of course, but the amount of money, the amount of financial infrastructure of the United States economy that is embedded with Israel, I mean, it makes up a significant share of the money we spend. No two ways about it. What do you think?
Well, yeah, they'll bring up the federal budget, which in real numbers, I think is $3.8 billion a year. That's not also counting the fact that the money does enter back into America through defense contractors. So defense contractors are enriching themselves as well. The money, where it goes toward, it's going toward genocides, both on the front of Beirut and obviously Gaza. And when it says protecting our allies, which ones exactly are at threat? How's America's livelihood threatened? And then you talk about this war. We're at this war at the behest of Israel. We're about to have to unload $300 billion worth of total funding. We're unfreezing assets that are being held. And overarchingly, the war has cost a significant amount of money that could have been turned into anything that could have assisted healthcare, could have assisted housing, could have paid teachers, could have fixed bridges, but instead went to a war that nobody supported, supposedly, was to get a nuclear weapon off the table. That was the mission for Midnight Hammer a year ago. So economically, it's obviously a huge detriment to us, not to mention the livelihoods of Americans right now having to pay right back up to, I think it's $4.50 a gallon on average across the nation. It's affecting us economically dramatically. It's causing inflation. It's causing higher car prices across the board. So how this connection helps us economically, I would love to sit down with somebody who's very smart and very astute to explain to me, like I'm stupid, how our relationship, affects us economically positively.
I also want to point out something we didn't say when Larry was on here. When we talk about what's coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, and people are like, well, we don't get a lot of our oil from there, which is true. We don't, but our diesel and our jet fuel comes from there. So what happens when you cut diesel and make it so expensive is that all of our supply lines are going to be out of control. So that means that all of our consumer products are going to go up. So even though it might not directly affect our petroleum, because that is a different source, when you affect diesel, you're going to hit, you're hitting all of our shipping.
Yes. Imports, exports, manufacturing, anything that's made in a factory, anything that runs on gears is utilizing some form of oil. The other I'll put on top that isn't even talked about a lot, that we have an even larger sourcing problem out of the GCC countries is helium and urea.
Yep.
Helium is utilized for semiconductors, and urea, just like you said, is fertilizer.
Yep.
And it's spiked up dramatically right at the time when our hemisphere is ordering fertilizer. So when food costs go up and people go, whoa, what's that happening? Like, hey, shithead, like, obviously it's because we had this cutoff of fertilizer.
Exactly. So it's not just fossil. Like, people don't, like, they're like, well, that's not where we get our gas from. Okay, well.
Finish it up. Under attack. Cutting this aid would weaken the key ally and partner and undermine America's security and influence. Tell your member of Congress, oppose the Thomas Massie Amendment. Protect assistance to Israel because it strengthens America.
Wait, I think I got it now. This ad is basically being sent out to all of the Zionist billionaires. That's what it is. So when a Zionist billionaire calls up a congressman and says, you will vote against this bill. Oh, okay, sure, no problem. I got you. We're good. We're good. I get to keep my seat for another 2 years. I mean, what else could it possibly be? And that's why, you know, as you've mentioned before, and I'm sure you'll mention now, Massie is an extraordinary person as much as he was a public servant. He is cut from a completely different cloth than pretty much anybody else you're going to find on the Hill. You know, as you've pointed out, he doesn't need this. He really is a Renaissance man. He is a unique individual who happens to be a congressman. But he also understands the call to patriotism in a moment where it's desperately needed. He understands that he's target for assassination, especially if he runs for president, and galvanizes millions of people to basically overthrow the current structure of the government. Yes, he is a threat to be taken out. And even then, in spite of all of that, he recognizes that this is a moment in time where that type of courage is needed, and so few others are willing to do it. So if he chooses, whatever path he chooses, we will back him up, even if we disagree on a number of key issues in politics. Because in the end, we do not have a republic that's going to last. It's just not.
No.
Yeah, and I'm on the side of it's two sides of the same clipped coin, so I don't really get in bed with any real politician. But I did get the opportunity to. Oh, did I lose you guys?
No, we got it.
Oh, there you go.
You're back.
I did get the opportunity to get out to Kentucky and help him try to win his race. I got to go to his property, eat pizza with the guy. He is a normal dude. Renaissance is a great word, by the way, because MIT engineer, bought and sold a multi-million-dollar company, or started and sold a multi-million-dollar company with some buddies, all before making his way into Congress. Yeah, you could talk about raw milk. You could talk about LGBTQ rights, abortion. There's definitely room for discussion around a lot of his own policy. But has there been anyone else who has stepped out against these oligarchic Zionist elites to try to get their claws out of our systems? I haven't seen anybody. So blue and red to the side, if somebody's fighting the enemy and we have a mutual enemy, well, the mutual enemy means we're friends. We're on the same team here. So yeah, I'll support him. And I wonder if that Mitch McConnell thing, if we're going to find out he's dead on like August 4th so that there isn't a special election that allows him that opportunity. And it'll be interesting to see. But I do think he'll run for president, and that'll be an interesting time.
I hope so.
Well, if there is a, you know, speaking of ads, because, you know, we like to have fun with this. Jen and I are both of the mind that the complete opposite, if there is a person who is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in conservative politics from Thomas Massie, it was Lindsey Graham. And of course, Lindsey's not here anymore, allegedly.
God rest his soul.
But I think we all know that that's probably not what happened. We think it was either Russia or Ukraine, but who knows? It could have been anybody. Fact of the matter is, I think a number of these people, Pete Hegseth, look out, pal, are getting a little too big for their britches and are eventually going to recognize that American empire is not what it was, 20, 30, 60 years ago. It's just not anymore. And little by little, we start losing it. And when Iran starts making joke ads against people like Laura Loomer, you know that this cannot be. Jen, I know you.
Oh God, Laura Loomer.
Yes. See, this is the type of stuff that I know makes them nuts, whether because they don't like being made fun of or they're scared. Either way, this is the way you should do it. Iran is not fucking around, and they even have time to make fun of us in the process.
You wanted the strike. You wanted the smoke. Then you saw the poster.
That's supposed to be
Loomer, look who froze. Love the red dot, still one got close.
The Lego's too pretty to be Laura.
I was gonna say.
Stare at the poster like it knows your doom.
They're very generous. They're being
Very generous.
One crossed your line. Graham went down, now you read every sign. Bullseye Loomer. Panic online. You told Israel strike when the mourners convene. Turn the funeral into a bombing scene. Cheered every hit from a studio chair till Tehran raised your picture in the air. Wanted regime change, wanted Iran torn. Watching every warning answered with war. Big war talk from a safe front seat. Now every little shadow got you checking the street. You loved the fire when the fire stayed far. Loved every missile like a rising star. But the second that the symbol came near, that
How are these all actually good songs too?
I know.
Every post was hit, them every clip was more.
Damn.
Every death overseas was a content score. Then consequence locked and the tone went thin. Funny how courage changes when your name gets in. Now it's Russia, now Iran, now investigate fast. Suddenly every threat comes back from the past. You sold paranoia, made panic your trade. Now you're trapped in the fear that your own mouth made. You built your brand, putting names on blast. Calling for purges, demanding them fast. Now one printed image got you losing your nerve. You order the heat, now you hate what they serve. Sacred defense. You wanted war.
Only thing I would have added is one line calling her Larry. That's the only thing I would have added.
Well, there's that, but I just always want to think, like, anybody that handles that situation is saving me from my felony charge. Because that woman will be responsible for my first felony.
It all just seems like an act with her, though. Like, if she truly believes what she stands by, she should be brought to a gallows.
Well, I think that she's mentally ill, and
That's fair.
and I mean legitimately mentally ill,
That's
maybe
fair.
like borderline personality, maybe whatever it is.
Wasn't she
And
in a
all
psych
these
ward at one
people
point?
just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, she had said her dad had said something about her having mental illness issues.
Right. And it's not easy being able to post on, not to give credit, but it's not easy to be able to post on a social media platform knowing millions of people might see what you see or what you said. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. And if you have a mental health issue to back that and you're insane, that's not a good
She's going to
combo.
get what's coming to her one way or another.
It's not a good combo.
If it can be done without me getting arrested, that's great. You know,
That's always
you know that she.
That's preferable.
Well, you know that she was responsible for me getting fired. So
no.
Yeah.
yeah. So I was.
She got
So
people-
Laura, big friend of the show here. Big friend of the show.
No, absolutely. Okay. By the way, if you want to know why she's so damn powerful, here's one of the reasons why. You can see that she's on a private jet.
Oh,
Sitting there, and who was that person sitting in the back right corner?
that is Britney Spears, I believe, right?
I think
Oh,
you
God,
might be
don't
right about
insult Brittany. Don't insult Brittany like
That's
that.
fair. She looking a little crazy these days, but no, that's Miriam in a cute
Ugh.
little sundress. Wow.
Ugh.
that. Well,
I,
you know,
I,
we
I would love for somebody like, why doesn't somebody take down that plane? Like
I don't know.
seriously, think about the collective sigh of relief if you took down this plane. Jeez.
the amount of Botox should be able to take it down, but hey, you know, you can't have everything. That
Laura,
being said,
the eyebrows are not working for you, baby. The skinny brow, it went out in the early 2000s, sweetie. Nobody's rocking it like that anymore. Okay.
what's amazing, the thing that is so like disturbing is that this girl's in her early 30s and she looks like she's 50. Like there's something.
Don't insult people my age. Tell
I'm
me.
saying that she looks like the type of person that gets pumped up with a bunch of either silicone or.
So now
or-
you're equating 50-year-olds with that. Don't do that.
You see, man, you just can't say anything without a woman
Just
taking
saying,
offense.
don't be associated.
Hey, listen,
with
if you're
that.
getting male or female, if you're getting a bunch of physical changes to your body and face, you have a form of mental disorder you are in or going
Yes.
into because you feel that your value in life is how you look. That's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's got body dysmorphia.
Sure. Just like me at the gym. I get that.
I know the feeling. When you see, I train at a military gym, so of course.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but in reality, it's actually a good thing because it should motivate you to work harder. That's how I
Right.
see it. You know,
See, I have the opposite problem. I work out at Planet Fitness. So I need a little bit more testosterone in my gym.
But considering that I'm in the gym space, credit to Planet Fitness, they have definitely upped their game. You know, you've got, especially in the newer ones, they've definitely made it a lot more.
And no more
conducive.
pizza since COVID. They're not pizza gym anymore.
Yeah, giving out pizza to people in a gym, that's really not a good look. It's just not. Almost as bad as you pretending that if you put about 70 grams of sugar in a protein shake, that's
is still healthy.
that's healthy too. Laura Loomer had one of her underlings, because I made like a post on my personal social media page. It was very simple, but it basically alluded to the fact that I am America first and I am Israel never. Like I made that very clear, and I said free Palestine on top of that. So I grew up in a part of the country that has a considerable, Zionist population, we'll put it that way. And it sparked a little bit of controversy, and needless to say, somebody came on there who I didn't recognize, who was basically threatening me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, who the hell is this? And I decided to, like you, did a little Vapo research. It turns out that this person is a good friend of Laura Loomer's. The next thing you know, I get a phone call from my brokerage up here in the Panhandle, and they're basically telling me, look, I don't want to scare you or anything. And I told them to back off, but somebody very powerful in South Florida politics wants you fired from this brokerage, wants you fired from your job. And they said, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. This is on a Thursday. On Friday, close of business, I get the email saying your services are no longer needed here.
Jeez, what kind of
And the
brokerage?
next thing you know, I make a video on it, and her person comes onto the video and says, hey, how's unemployment working out for you? So it's obvious where the fuck this came from.
What kind of brokerage? Stock brokerage, real estate?
No, I was working commercial real estate. I was with
Commercial real
KW
estate.
Commercial. And it turns out that the heads of the corporation are Christian Zionists in Austin, Texas. So naturally, once they figured out that I was against their precious beliefs, because, fuck the Constitution, they just said, well, we don't need this. And there you go. And
I have a complaint against my license for the same thing right now.
Yeah.
A trial for it. It won't end
And
up
of
being a
course,
complaint.
we could sit around and stew about this and say, I have to get Laura Loomer. I've got to get back at these people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that has to happen. There are so many people that I have accumulated in my mind that have never been properly put in their place. And as a Gen X, as a representative of Gen X, which I would say is clearly the best of the living generation, we will handle our own and put them in their place when need be. But some people somehow escaped. Somehow people got through the 70s and 80s without being properly put in their place. And she's kind of one of those people, even though she's younger than me.
I agree.
Just saying.
And if there is a person, and Jen, I know you don't like him, we don't like him either, but I have to pull this up because
Who?
You'll see. Okay.
Oh, God.
So, Zach, obviously, we pay close attention to the people that we suspect are on the take, that are, they may say a few good things, right things every once in a while. But then you get somebody like Nick Fuentes who says something so unbelievably fucked up that I needed Jen to hear this because yes, I'm not going to tell you the context. I just need you to hear this because this is something that's going to... This is exactly who it's for. It's for this specifically.
Wife threw all of our weed and bongs away last week. Love the show and everything you do. Nuke Sneeko from orbit.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that, but at the same time, that sentence is just like, ugh. Me and my wife threw out all our weed and bongs. It's like,
why would an
that's
asshole
so
do that?
bad. I guess that's good, but that's so bad. All right, wifey. America First told us to throw our bowls and bongs and gram of weed. It's like, how do people live like this? I don't get it. That's just not a thing here. I think it's more acceptable in like different generations and different regions, but I mean, the idea that you'd be doing it legit like that, it's just like, who does that? Who are you people?
I don't understand what he's asking. Who does
He's
what?
basically
Smoke
making
weed?
fun of people that smoke weed.
No, I think he's making fun of people that get rid of their weed.
That's how I took it.
You may be right. I think there's a little bit more to this.
He's making fun of them for getting rid of all their stuff. Like that.
I would hope that is the case. I don't want to think that he's like some old boomer who thinks that weed is evil or something.
Yeah, I think Jen and Nick are aligned on this one.
What you what?
I think Jen and Nick might be aligned on this one.
I don't think I'd ever be considered aligned with Nick Fuentes, but okay.
Me and my wife threw our bongs away. You were blazing up with your wife? Oh my gosh.
That sounds great.
Diabolical. You and the wife in those pajama pants watching
Yes!
Family Guy in South Park ripping the bong. Oh
Yes!
my, imagine the smell.
Yes.
Oh, so he is
whole
he is
scene,
hating.
it
He
just,
is
like,
hating.
really depresses me. So, yeesh.
Oh my
Just
God.
be glad it's over. Please just don't go back. Just don't take that
Yes,
to the
you're
grave.
right, Peter.
Fair game
He's
kicks
mocking the
$30.
weed. Okay, so I am basically akin to, you know, the kid from, you know, Pigpen from the Peanuts with the puff of smoke that's always around. Okay, so that's me, but instead of trash and dirt, it's just cannabis whiff. And I've just been that basically my entire adult life. So when he said, like, I generally have a whiff of cannabis about me because there's always cannabis on me. So the fact that he's saying that is so funny to me. So in other words, I can protect myself from being near people like Nick Fuentes by smelling like myself, is what you're saying.
Your natural aura will detest him.
Okay,
When
well,
people
I'm
talk-
with that.
When people and again, the only reason I cover him is because I get why people like him. I get his charismatic appeal.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. Zach, you?
I just think he's a plant. So I think
Same.
he could be. I think he'd be likable. I agree that he has a likable quality. He's a young man, clean shaven, shows up well dressed. You know, he's a great speaker, and he has
looks
a little
like Alfred
Andrew.
E. Newman.
He
I don't
he
get
has a little Andrew Tate in him. He knows how to push a button. He knows how to make that audacious hook for a clip. He's really good at it. But the moment I saw him with a megaphone, saying the building is ours to the people before January 6th, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Pause.
And nothing ever happened
What are we
to
doing
him.
here? What are we doing here? Yeah,
And
exactly.
nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened. Yeah, I think he's just a plant, a racist, misogynist plant.
What's scary to me is the amount of people that like people like him and Andrew Tate and people that are. We have an epidemic.
The manosphere, as they call it.
And people will come on here and say that I hate men, which is hilarious because I actually really love men. But what I don't like is that, and I hate using the term toxic masculinity because it's not necessarily a man thing. All people have a masculine and a feminine, right? So when the masculine is out of whack, it affects men and women. It isn't just one thing, right? But men like that, and again, I use the term man talking about Nick Fuentes extremely loosely.
Just biologically, right?
Biologically, seemingly identifying as male. That guy is no concept of what it is to be what we would consider a real man. And most of the people that follow those guys have no concept of what that looks like or what.
Wouldn't you also say that part of the reason that is the case is because most of these guys are completely lacking interpersonal communication capability.
Yes.
They don't physically take care of themselves. They don't know how to talk to women. I always say, especially from, somebody like yourself. I mean, physical fitness, taking care of yourself, military training. I think that is an essential part of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And I would say that to anybody. You can join a gym for $10 a month, $15 a month. You can scrap those dimes together and do that. If you are physically taking care of yourself and eating relatively healthy, you will have a different view of the world and a different approach rather than sitting in front of a computer. Like I pointed out before, when I first got into this, I was assessing a property in South Florida during the afternoon on a weekday. And there was a guy in his 400 square foot apartment watching Tim Pool. And I thought to myself, okay, there really are millions of these guys all over the country that do this every day.
And statistically, it's backed because I think the number used to be in 2016. Someone could Google this and back check me. 2016, the percentage of men in America, men and women in America under the age of 30 that were married and had a home that they owned was 50%, 51, I believe it was. Now it's 12%. We've gone from 1 out of 2 to 1 out of 8.
Yeah.
They're not dating. People aren't going out to bars nearly as much.
Oh.
They're staying on their computers. They're staying in a place where they feel safe. And to be frank with you, and I might hit somebody here with this one. A lot of these people are listening to these quote unquote alphas because they have no sense of self-worth in and of themselves. And masculinity is when you don't need any outside verification of who you are. When you don't need anything, anyone, any emotion, anyone to say anything to make you feel you are just a better human. Call it masculine, call it feminine. You'll love better. You'll be kinder. You'll be more compassionate. You'll talk to yourself better. You'll be more grateful for life when you can actually have some dominion over yourself. Because guys, I know right now, just staring at the economy, how many people feel downtrodden because they don't know where they're going financially in the future. So the amount of men who don't have anything to build their life on, a family, a kid, a wife, a house, a job, they think a robot's going to take it in 5 years, and it might. I get it. I really do get it. And I hate that the manosphere takes full advantage of it.
Well, that's the grifters are going to grift. You're going to find in every generation, you're going to find a grifter to take advantage of whoever the vulnerable population is in that generation.
It was the mega pastors in the 90s and 80s, and now it's Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes.
The scary part, is how these, and again, I use the term men loosely, they have no capability of interacting with women. And I think a lot of them, like when I hear people like Nick Fuentes talk, he's scared of women. He's actually they're actually scared of women.
I'll bring it further than women. I have a few people that have met with him and talked with him. He's just not good at talking in general. His social capability, his communication capability seems strictly content. If there's not a camera, apparently he's just not a social individual. He's not a communicator in person.
And
that's probably why we don't see him doing debates or stepping on stages or doing any keynotes, because that's just not him.
Right. And then this is a guy now that is sort of leading a generation of incels.
Yes.
Somebody
incels.
who has no good communication skills and has
all love to the incels out there, but you're being grifted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of alpha males, at least in their own mind, this is a story that it really hits close to home for me personally, as I'm sure it does for Jen, because Jen is living on a farm. Have to say it right. Can't get that wrong. I would say that the thing that really got me into politics when I was a kid was the environment, and I've always cared about it. It's always something that is very near and dear to me. And when we see the story about Trump, and this is something that's been going on for a while, this whole, we're totally taking over the national monuments and we're going to drill, baby, drill. It is the antithesis of everything that my personal political inspiration, which is Teddy Roosevelt, was all about. He started the national park system. It is probably his greatest legacy, in my opinion. And the fact that they are going to drill on these private lands, and let's be honest, a lot of these lands belong to Native Americans. That's what they should remain as. And the fact that you have Senator Mike Lee, who is one of the absolute worst shitbags in all of the United States Congress, who is allowing for 2 out of the 3 million acres of land. They're going to do it in Utah. Utah is the most, maybe overall, in terms of well-run conservative states, it's probably the best in the U.S. And you are giving up what has been always a hallmark of the Mountain West, their nature. It's one of the reasons why that part of the country is so beautiful. It's because not a lot of people live there. So they don't have an opportunity to destroy it. But now they're figuring out a way to do it. And who the hell is going to stand in the way when you've got shit like this going on?
We're terminating certain monuments. They call it monuments, not the ones we have outside, but these are large, thousands of acres. It's a total of almost 3 million acres, and we're going to be discussing it. But in fact, I think we'll start discussing it right now before I sign. After that, we're going to be signing 2 documents. that are close to 1.5 million acres each.
How tall is the
And
guy on the
Governor, do you want
left?
to say a few words about what we're doing and explain it to the
Who
press?
is that?
Yeah, well,
I haven't seen him.
Who?
He's
Who?
easy. He's
The
easy
guy all the way to the
6'7" now.
left. I'm not sure who that is. Yeah, no, he's very tall. That's Mike Lee, right over Trump's left shoulder. And he is the senior senator from Utah and seems to be totally fine with this. And when you consider what we've covered recently regarding the data center catastrophe with Mr. Wonderful over in, just outside of Salt Lake City, you would think that the citizens are getting a little restless over this shit. And now they're expanding it even further. They're basically saying, oh, you think a data center is a problem? Now we're going to start chopping up all of this natural land that has been protected.
I'll give you another one on the housing side for Utahns. I've interviewed a couple people about legislation they had proposed in 2023 that passed and in 2024 that was creating new housing for first-time homebuyers. They were funding construction companies, builders, to build smaller homes, build more townhomes, build more units that are affordable. And if you do, we'll allow for 10% of all your expenses to be paid by this fund. I thought it was super smart because then they also simultaneously went and said, hey, all you people who make below X income, we're going to give you some extra money to be able to go buy. The problem is the moment they started building them all, investors started buying them because they didn't put anything in place to keep that from happening. So now you got expensive housing, data center half the size of Salt Lake City. And I didn't even hear about this whole park side of things. Jeez.
And it doesn't stop because this is the downside in many ways of capitalism. You're going to find very quickly that if there is no, again, the government is way too big. We know that. But the government's function is supposed to be protecting its citizens against the overreach of the private sector. It's the balance of government and business.
I say they got that backwards. I'm gonna say they've reversed that. Okay, because they seem to be protecting them. Yeah, okay.
One of the other big crises that is not being addressed enough, and this is something that is happening there, and we'll get more into the weeds about this issue regarding the destruction of the land. This is one of the biggest crises that again isn't being talked about. Farmers reveal data centers are killing the bees.
Good. We don't need them, right? Bees are useless, aren't they?
Yeah, they only make up about 1/3 of the actual food on the planet.
That's not a lot.
Yeah.
We'll be
want to kill off
fine. We'll have
millions of
AI
people.
bees. We'll just make our own bees.
There you go.
We'll
Drone
little mini
bees.
drones, like bee
Oh,
drones.
you don't want those annoying things that can sting you. You want tiny little bee drones.
I love my bees. I have so many good bees here. The bees that we really like, that we need, aren't the bees that sting us, really.
Yeah,
so
they're just
it's
interested
not
in
even.
flowers. We got a little homestead here too.
So you know that the bees that are those bees are not. If it's really loud, it's not stinging you.
I'm watching them jump around flower to flower.
Yeah.
They're going on between me while I'm weeding. I've never been
love
stung.
the bees.
I stepped on one and he stung me, but that was called for. Yeah,
Trying to save your life. Yeah, of course.
I get it.
Farmers are reporting that data centers are killing their bees. Data centers produce artificial EMF fields that researchers say disrupt the magnetic navigation systems bees have relied on for millions of years. Studies document reductions in colony size, decreased breeding of efficiency, and distress signals consistent with bees sensing imminent danger. One farmer claims he hasn't seen a single bee since a data center was built nearby.
Okay, so
Pete, this is back to what you just said about nature.
Oh, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, go ahead, Jem. We're eliminating bees. No, you're the
Well,
head
no,
of the show.
Colin, go back. What are you doing?
We eliminate bees and we eliminate the ability for us to have fertilizer. And that's all happening simultaneously. So now we have an even bigger food supply crisis. Like, this is a real problem.
Yes, as you can see, these things are monstrosities. They are absolute catastrophically large properties to the tune of, in some cases, 40 acres of land is needed. And that's not even counting what's going to happen to the surrounding land and the environmental devastation.
I can't hear you off, Yoking.
We can hear you.
You broke up for a second.
You broke up for a second. Are you good now?
No. Something is awry.
Yes.
It's all good. The awry I
Wait.
had better signal. I had better signal in the mountains of Kentucky.
There you go.
But
Where are
what
you?
I was gonna say is back I'm in my basement studio connected to Fios. I don't know what the heck's happening. The issue with the B side of things is you just talked about it, Pete. Nature. Like I'm not hippy dippy. I do think we absolutely propagandized the hippies as the enemy when they just simply didn't want to go to Vietnam. But the hippie side of me is like, look at how beautiful and systematic nature is, that they have this invisible energetic communication system that is breeding all of the food that becomes available to us humans. And we're just walking in with our capitalistic belts on saying, fuck the bees. It's okay.
Yes.
It's crazy. Everything, it seems that macro corporate favoring neoliberal elite focused capitalism is doing is not only exacerbating this wealth gap, but for the sake of profit and shareholders, we're destroying something that systematically ran perfectly without our interference.
Well, and they're screwing themselves, because the problem with this type of thinking, you're only thinking about what your quarterly returns are going to be.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if let's say, and this goes for anything, when you overextend, you're not going to have consumers to buy your product anymore, right? So it's all good in the short term, but it screws all of us in the long term.
Which is why I think people like Elon are really locked in on this thought process that one day we're just going to have unlimited high income and there's no jobs. Like, you better freaking hope so.
How is that happening?
Yeah, I don't know how. Exactly. They talk about, this utopian state. So you're telling me when the elite tech bros get full control over all the wealth on the planet that they're going to create a utopian state for us? I'm supposed to believe that? They're putting us in
those camps.
I'm supposed to believe that with the evidence that's currently in front of me? No way.
No, they're going to put us in those camps. That's why they're building those facilities in the cop cities. No, they're not going to help the people if all of that money becomes available. If they were going to help people, then he wouldn't be a fucking billionaire. They have no interest in helping people. If you had interest in helping people, you couldn't be a billionaire. That's not feasible.
Well, even if you could be How could
you do that?
Elon could have always been a billionaire. However, he wants, again, there's something to be said for people that just don't know when to say when. And the fact that so much of what he gets is through government subsidies. The fact that he doesn't want to compete financially with what the labor unions, particularly with the auto workers, are able to get from Stellantis, Ford, and GM. They're able to get like twice the salary that the average Tesla worker is able to get. And why wouldn't he want to compete? Because he can't be a trillionaire. I'll tell you, he wants to be a trillionaire and use that as for what? For what?
How does that not put crosshairs on his forehead? I can't believe these people, honestly. With the amount of mental illness and available weapons, I really am shocked that it doesn't happen more. I don't understand.
There's a Bible word I come back to on this a lot when we're watching this is unfettered greed. It's called mammon. It's described as a demon. Okay. And it's defined pretty simply as the lust for lust. You're not even going after something that you crave physiologically, whether it be for some chemical in your brain to get released or to physically feel some type of way. Like, you're not even chasing after that drug or that girl or that drink for anything good. Like, when it comes to money, especially though, there unlocks this opportunity where there is benefit on the other side, unlike drugs. Like, if you just do more drugs, you're going to be a meth head. But with money, it's on the surface. It's like, I'm getting more, I'm doing more, I'm not worse off. And then when is when? How long do you continue to do this until you realize you're just doing this to support a feeling of validation, of power, of security, of something internal? All of these billionaires need to go to therapy. You know, if they're not complete and utter psychopathic, individuals, which many might be, there's something wrong with the ability to live as a human being on this planet and not support the other living human beings on this planet with your decision making. When you have that much authority, with great power comes great responsibility. And we're seeing when the wrong people have the power, they don't care.
Agreed.
Well, it's funny. I think you give them a whole lot more grace. Like, you're thinking they deserve some sort of mental health treatment. This is what I think, honestly.
And that mental health treatment might be a lobotomy.
No, what I wish for all of those people, what they wish for the people that they are basically oppressing all around the world. I wish for them what's happening to the people of Gaza. I wish for their children what's happening to the people of Gaza's children. Like that's what I want them to have what
Because they're allowing it. They're allowing it, of course.
Oh yeah.
If we lose the bees, this is no joke. Like this is a catastrophic situation here. And I really do think, and I'm convinced of this. And Colin, if you could scroll to the next one, if there is.
Of course. Of course.
I do believe that there is something to be said for the powers that be that really are in a class by themselves of maybe a couple of thousand people that truly make the world go round, that they do not have conversations about maybe we need to reduce the population by about 2 billion. That maybe we need to wipe off about a fourth to a third of the population on the planet. Like, I think that conversation happens. I do. And I think they know how to do it. I think they're keenly aware of what it would take. Certain areas of the world are basically going to be wiped out, whether through environmental destruction via climate change, because it's becoming impossibly hot to live in certain places, tsunamis that will follow. And a lot of these places have very large populations. India comes to mind, Bangladesh comes to mind, South America, different places.
It's a lot of spiritual text when they talk about the end times. There's a consistent bringing up of a third will be gone. And the Bible brings up that a third will die due to great fire. It's interesting as you talk about heat.
Look at what they're doing in Argentina. Look at how you have this true Judas of a bastard controlling that country for the purpose of destroying everything that it ever was, and to basically usher in the next rendition of what the Zionist state is going to look like. It's not going to be Israel. It's going to be Argentina. And as biblical related as this could possibly be, I mean, I know you don't like the sporty games, Jen, but let me tell you,
I don't have a problem with your sporty games.
Well, with the exception of the Dolphins, but I will say that this World Cup final has tremendous global implications as far as I'm concerned. On the one hand, you have Spain, which as a nation, I would say after Ireland, I would say Spain has probably been the most pro-Palestine nation in all of Europe. And then on the other hand, you have Argentina, which is it is Israel.
It's Israel's representative. Yeah. Ben Gavir already said that.
So this really is going to be quite the final. And where is this taking place? It's taking place in the shadow of New York City. So it's going to be quite a really cathartic moment for most if Spain is able to win. I do believe Spain is the better team, but that doesn't mean anything, as we have seen. England just had an all-time choke in the World Cup semifinal. And Argentina has the blessings of the chosen people. You see them showing up. See them showing up in the stadiums with the Israel flags for Argentina.
And my sporty ball brain is like a juxtaposition, because it's like, okay, I want Spain to win here, and Spain's got the better middies. I like their right wing. He's a young kid. They're on a 36-game win streak. You want to see it keep going. I want to see someone else win. Argentina won last time. But then my sporty ball side says, but Messi's the greatest soccer player who's ever graced a pitch. How are you not going to cheer for that guy? He's a little autistic. It's kind of cute. But at the same time, he sobs at the wall. So I hate when he loves it. He loves it. But the World Cup, I will say, has kind of been a breath air for me sports-wise. After about 3.5 years of just in the wake-up period of, this is just a giant circus, this is probably the first time where I've been able to look at it and be like, oh, look at all these guys. Look at all these fans. They're here for the blood and the sweat and the passion of it. They love the sport. They love their country. I'm not being told to bet on DraftKings every 5 seconds. This is nice. So I hope the final's good.
And it's considering how far sports have fallen, there really is something to say for how football truly is. And I'm talking about real football, how football has become a global unifier for a lot of people. It is actually very nice to see that.
I saw a commercial. Oh, sorry. So sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Nice
please.
to say. I saw a commercial. Yeah, spoke just to what you're saying. Is like when you're watching these World Cup, 4 billion people are speaking the same language. I was like, oh, that's true. Like we're all watching soccer, understanding soccer. This is incredible.
Yeah. And I also think that it's also very revealing that the majority of people who follow this are against FIFA, are against everything that that organization represents, which is the worst of capitalism, which is the worst of the US, of Israel.
Corruption.
They will not do anything to get in the way of the corporate dollar. And yet it's one of the beautiful aspects of the game of football, because you can go to the poorest places in the world and people just need a ball. They can create their own goal. They can create their own lines. And it is a unifying moment, which, I mean, there's a reason we call ourselves revolutionary change. We've reached the point where it's a revolution or it's nothing. Like, you have to accept that that's where we are.
Who starts it? Who starts it though, Pete? I'm ready to go. Like,
it's happening. You're in it.
But when can video, you know, who's the person who said, you know, the revolution won't be televised? Can the revolution happen via video? Like, when are we going to be physically in the same place? Because I'm tired, dude. Like, I'm tired of staring at the abyss of this mess of an economy that has been built off elitist white people and Zionists and warmongers and European families and banking oligarchs for decades. It's not new. Social media has made it new to many people like myself, but it's not new. And now we're watching it happen live to an nth degree. I mean, our president is increasing his net worth by billions and doing so with insider trading. They just released that Truth Social is going to be giving out premium posting opportunity or a premium sneak peeks at his market moving posts before they go live. We're now monetizing insider trading in front of us. The Epstein files, we're not getting them. We haven't gotten half, and we still aren't getting the other half. We're not getting those co-conspirators unredacted that needed to be unredacted, but we will go ahead and shout out 350 victims that didn't want to have their name out in the light. We're just going to go ahead and do that. We're going to a war that nobody wants to be a part of, fighting for a country no one wants us to be a part of, and doing so on the behest of a whole other country in the Middle East that nobody wants us funding, and nobody's doing anything. Nobody's like, and it's frustrating because everything about this American life, you know, I served in the army just like my parents did. I went overseas. I defended the poppy fields in Afghanistan, and I felt I was doing something patriotic and real and ultimately virtuous. Then to learn that was a trick. And then to learn that this entire economy is a game, and that the tricking and the rig and the game is all rigged to the benefit of one specific class who won't own up to it being rigged. At least call it socialism, call it communism, whatever you want to call it, because that's by definition what the elitists practice. All while people are starving, all while we watch a war that's going to take food off of tables for children. I'm watching in real estate people not being able to even get divorced because they can't afford to move out from one another. They hate each other. They cannot move out.
Nope.
This is such a common problem across the nation. Real estate's very regional, but across the nation, we have a severe housing problem. We have a severe healthcare problem. We have a severe mental health problem. We have a severe capitalism problem, and I'm ready for it to be physical. Go ahead and chat me up, CIA. Clip it. I'm ready for it to be physical. But when? How?
It is happening. It's just it doesn't happen how like one day. It happens over a few years, and it is happening. The violence is absolutely increasing.
And in a lot of the scenarios, like when we look at Nepal most recently, or we look at China in the 40s, or you look at the raiding of Bastille in the French Revolution, started that. There was like one event that lit the fire, right? There was gasoline already on the theoretical floor, and something lit the match. You know, in Nepal, it was about a 5,000 person protest, and then their government came out and shot one of the kids. And then all of a sudden, the next day, there were 500,000. Right. Like, what's going to be that defining event for us? And how bad is it going to have to be when we've already watched ICE murder individuals, when we're already watching our administration profit off of our backs? We're watching these tech bros gaslight us. When's the moment? How severe is it going to have to be? Do we need another 9/11 cataclysmic event?
Well, and that too, and learning what the real basis of that is. Like all of it.
I get it. Yeah.
Being pulled off, and we're watching it, and every time, I think, okay, maybe Renee Good being shot in the face, but then again, I thought that Sandy Hook might have done something. So, which for me was a huge turning point as a mom, and at that time had a kid the exact same age as those kids, but yet no, it never seems to, but it is happening. and it's coordinating with the rest of the world. Because we're also going to see the end of like our hegemony. We're going to see the end of dollar hegemony. We're going to see the end of our domination. And as that's happening, the internal stuff will be working at the same time. So that it isn't one thing. But yeah, I think that right now I see Iran is fighting for the soul of the world. And it's disgusting to me that I live in a country wherein I'm rooting against us.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that.
Yes, but no has it right. I'm ready for a violent revolution. If violence is going to come for us all, better to go to it.
And
That
people are,
attitude-
yes, and I'm hearing it more and more.
It's the bison running through the storm.
Yeah.
The bison runs toward the storm, so the storm ends quicker. They don't run from it. I agree. That's where I'm like, guys, we're surrounded by dark clouds in most all directions. When is it going to happen? And what does the other side of it look like? Like you just mentioned, dollar hegemony. We're already watching it happen over the last 4 years. Other countries, almost all of the major economies in the world, have been selling our debt slowly but surely as to not cause a crash, while simultaneously buying gold. All while the Bank of International Settlement says actually gold is a level 1 asset, just like the dollar. So we want you to start accumulating it. And China goes ahead and says, hey, paper trade, we need to stop this, because they want to reveal the true price of gold, because they know it's higher than what it actually is on paper.
Oh, of course.
So we're losing all of our soft power as a country. And it seems like we're flailing as we fall. And it's embarrassing to be a part of.
The thing about why things haven't completely fallen apart yet is actually pretty simple. If you've traveled to various parts of the world, including West Asia, is that English is the global language, and the US dollar is still the world's hegemon currency. And as a result, it is not completely out of the way yet. I actually think if World War III is going to start, it's probably going to start in South America, because now what the US-Israel Western Alliance is attempting to do is completely take over South America. The problem is the biggest and the probably 4th most powerful nation on the planet is part of BRICS, and they are backed by Russia and China. And when they try to fortify their positions against Brazil, it is not going to work out well for them. It's just not. This is going to be so much different than thinking you could take over Cuba. You want to fuck around with Brazil, and how many people live in Brazil? What is it like?
The 4th. It's the 4th largest or something.
Yeah, it's like 500 million people. Like you're nuts. What if you think you're going to get away with this? It's just not going to work.
And that plan lines up right with the Honduras tapes. You guys know about the Honduras tapes, right? With Juan Orlando Hernandez?
Yes.
Yeah. That it got released that he's basically leading the U.S. charge on destabilizing all the right-wing leaders in Central and South America. It's mirroring like Operation Condor. We've seen it happen before in the 80s. So it's wild. Just that point too. Just that little slice of the pie. Why do we feel we have a right to go and colonize other countries? There's no need.
Monroe Doctrine. Are you kidding? You didn't get the memo?
Excuse
We're
me.
allowed.
We're
entitled to this entire continent.
But what is even the point? What is the point? It's not like when you won a war back in the day and you got to take the population as slaves. Hey, great, we increased our labor force. Like, it's not like you get to go and colonize new land. Like when Vespucci came to America, like there's no new land, there's no new things.
Natural resources. I mean,
I suppose
it honestly, it's just like a game. That's what it feels like, a game to them.
Well, at what point do you reach a point of wealth where nothing else satisfies you other than playing the game of control and power? Like it's why the game of Monopoly was invented.
Well, I think when you hit $1 billion, everything should get taken away from you, and you get a gold star on your forehead and you return to fucking zero.
It's like Call of Duty when you ran to the end of the ranks, and then they gave you a prestige badge and made you start over.
Something.
When people cannot afford to live,
we're there.
That is happening. It is inevitable that something dramatic, dare I say revolutionary, is coming. And as China continues to fortify its positions as the next global hegemon, whether the yuan takes over or not, they will have their own currency through BRICS. Saudi Arabia does not run exclusively through the US dollar anymore. So it is happening. But I do believe that if there, and this is part of the reason why, as Jen has always said, that Trump was going to facilitate the revolution, because everything is happening at a fever pitch, at breakneck speed. This is not happening paced where you can't see it as it happens over time, over years, even decades. In this case, everything is happening in the blink of an eye. And because of that, enough people are starting to see the slow-moving car crash that's coming right at them. And as a result, when they cannot afford to put food on the table, when they cannot advance economically, when they can't travel, they can't eat healthy, they can't live a decent life, at some point, enough people are going to look at them and say, you're not crazy. The system's broken and we need to change it, legitimately change it away from whatever this is. Everything that has been written, because I'm a constitutionalist, and everything that was written in our founding documents, as Jefferson and Adams both said, that if you get to a point where the government is working against the will of the people, you don't just have the right, you have the obligation to flip over the board and start again. And we are way past it. I mean, my God, we couldn't have more of a legitimate sign in that the 250th anniversary, combined with this administration, and history has always shown that you have basically, if you have a legitimate republic or democracy, you have about 200 to 250 years. And once you cross that, unless you are a rare exception, like the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, very rare, but we know we're way past that now. And what was the biggest thing that took down the Roman Empire? What was the number one thing that took it down? The devaluation of the denarius. That was what took it down. It wasn't overly military expansion. How do you pay for that? With money you don't have. So what do? You start fucking with the citizens like you did 60 years ago when you took the silver out of your fucking coinage and you told them, no, these things are real. They're really worth something. And unfortunately, because we're such a dumb fucking country, we buy it. And at some point, enough people are going to look around and say, I can't afford to buy it anymore, so I have to do something. And that's where we are. So will we finally wake up?
No.
We are not fast enough, but eventually everyone will, because they won't have any other choice. It's fight or flight, and you have nowhere to go. So you might as well fight. That's why we're doing this.
And I love you for doing it.
Final thoughts before you go.
Disconnect. I've had a lot of opportunity in the last 2 weeks to do that exact thing. Like I said earlier, run a little tiny homestead. We got 12 or 11 chickens. One died. 11
Did
chickens.
you say chickens?
Yeah, 11 hens.
Behind this curtain right here.
Heck yeah.
Chickens right here behind this
Heck
curtain.
yeah. No, chickens are great. They pay their rent and their eggs. I get my protein, veggies out of the garden. I grew a 20 by 24 garden this year. It was a big project, but it's going pretty well. I'm going to learn a lot, take a lot in the next year. Just built a fence, left my phone at home and went to the beach with the daughter, the wife. We played in the water a little bit, go-karted. I say all that to say, like, you got to disconnect at some point. We talked about it earlier with the manosphere, but a lot of the grip that the grifters have is over the grip that the consumer has on the device. And if we can get away from the device, get back into community, get back into our own brain, not the brain that's programmed by all of the digital stimuli and rigged algorithms and people telling you this and that, and the over breaking news, this new headline, that new corruption. There's a level that we have to keep up with to understand what's going on in the world, but there's also a level that I think can be brought inwardly when we do meditate and we do write and we do Sudokus and we puzzle and we paint and we walk and we have some silence in our life. There's a lot of noise. I think a lot of it from the top is purposeful, but
play board games.
Play board games. Yeah, play board games. Yeah, we just got Scrabble. Our daughter's 7, so we figured that was a good game to get started on. But yeah, listen, it sounds all boomery, but when you can really get to a point in life, like I said, where you don't need any outward stimuli that is, ego focused to fulfill yourself, and you can fulfill yourself with your family, and you can fulfill yourself with what you're growing and what you're bringing and what you're doing. I love a Tony Robbins quote that I heard about 15 years ago, where he said the 2 only ways to feel fulfilled in life and to achieve this quote unquote happiness is to give or to grow. And if you can do one of those 2 things and put your ego aside to give or to grow, you're going to feel better about yourself. And I think a lot of this country wants to feel better about itself. And I do think that starts with a little bit of unplugging from this wild world.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't have said it better.
I live in the middle of nowhere.
And you could have said it in a better accent too.
Oh, well, you know, I have a few different accents depending on
I've heard you broke out Bill Clinton and Elon Musk on this one. I hadn't heard those.
Oh, his Bill Clinton is good.
Yeah, dude, you got a repertoire.
It's a little bad, but I actually think that if we're going to get better,
Not the code
not to save
switching.
this world from all of the crazy machines, you've got to deprogram. Do not give in. We are not having a judgment day. Yeah, I've got Arnold as well. We appreciate you. Keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. Guys, links in the description for Zach's work. Follow him on Instagram. That's definitely the top place. But
I will say YouTube, actually, our podcast has become fire. We were leaning into more long form content like y'all as we get in the minutia of a lot of these topics. So YouTube,
dude, we'll come on. We'll come on your show anytime.
Please, we got to make that happen. All right, y'all. Jen, thank you so
Zach.
much. Appreciate y'all. Keep fighting.
Bye.
See you, brother.
See you guys.
So if you enjoyed, which we hope you did, please go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty, despite heavily suppressed, yet still getting high on life, growing channel. And we do have some super chatters this evening, so let's give them a big shout out. Piano Man with the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you, my friend. Willie Bragg. Guys, subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show on YouTube. The U.S.-Israel flags side by side by politicians tells me everything about them. It means they're racist, pro-war, and evangelical neocons. Hey,
yes.
No argument from us.
Yes.
Teresa with the exceptionally generous $20. We love you, doll. Thank you, Colonel Wilkerson. May you have peace. You bring so much clarity and hope with your analysis to the resistance. You may never know how much.
And for people who don't regularly, like for me, I would say that I see him on a show every other day at least, between him and a handful of people. And that is the only way we're going to get information that we need, or from the people that actually still have been there and still have contacts in high places.
Yes, exactly.
And recognize see the writing on the wall.
This is also part of the reason why I do hold Tucker Carlson in high esteem, because it's clear that not only is he intelligence, but he deals with intelligence. And he, like a lot of people, see, this is the misconception.
I wish I dealt with intelligence.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. One of the misconceptions that I think people forget is that you have, good Lord, hundreds of thousands of federal employees that work, whether they're working for the NSA, whether they're working for the DOJ, whether they're working for the FBI or the CIA. Not everybody in those organizations are, treasonous criminals against the USA. That's not the case. Right. There are ones who actually do recognize our situation and are trying to do right by giving us the clues that we need in order to save ourselves, which in my opinion is what Colonel Wilkerson is doing in the twilight years of his life. You cannot say enough about how he's trying to right the wrongs, especially of what General Powell, his best friend, did when he sat there and said, yeah, they've got the weapons of mass destruction.
And he's regretted that. And it's been a big issue. I mean, that is not on.
Yeah. And
they've addressed that. And whoever was saying they don't trust Colonel Wilkerson, I would ask, why?
Who do you want to trust?
He has nothing to lose at this point. He really doesn't. He has nothing to lose at this point. This is a man who told us his personal thoughts and gave us information about a conversation with, was it Rumsfeld or Bolton or whoever it was? Like, he doesn't work for anybody.
No.
Those are the people that I do trust. Like he doesn't have an agenda.
I do apologize. The one thing that I do regret not saying, and we should even send an email to him. If there is one person that I know that he is very happy to see basically get, do the perp walk and have to basically lose everything before his life is over. Colonel Wilkerson, if he hated anybody on Capitol Hill, he hated John Bolton. With every fiber.
We know he did. We know he did.
So for Colonel Wilkerson to live long enough to see John Bolton get taken out, believe me.
His response about Lindsey Graham, he's like, I'm from South Carolina.
Yeah. Citizen Pendejo with the 50 pesos. Left is so useless that if it weren't for the right, Trump and Yahoo would have succeeded on pinning Charlie Kirk on the Democrats. Israel regret ignoring anger over Charlie's. I agree. In fact, we're probably, as much as any populist left channel, that deals with Israel and Charlie Kirk. No one else wants to touch it, even though we know it's one of the keys to unlocking this whole fucking thing.
Travers, stop it. He did not.
Jim Talib with the $5. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, as always, for supporting the channel. And finally, Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Ro compared giant India, 1.5 billion, the largest population in the world, to enslaved Gaza, 2 million. Are you sure about that number? More like 1 million now.
Yeah. He did. I thought that. I have already been very disappointed with Ro. Like for years. Like, let's be real. He sort of plays both sides. This was unacceptable. And even if I agreed with his position, he came off looking mealy-mouthed and weak. So, yeah.
If there was one thing we have learned about what is the real appeal of Trump, why people love him, it's because he just kicks ass and takes names, and he doesn't hesitate. He will lie confidently. We totally did it. The best one was all the way back when he first announced, when he was being interviewed right after he came down the escalator, and Mark Halpern asked him, "What's your favorite Bible passage?" "Oh, they're all great. I love every one of them. No, I can't pick a favorite." Of course, he's lying through his teeth. He doesn't know shit from Shinola when it comes to the Bible, but it doesn't matter because he's confident enough to lie through it. Could you imagine Ro Khanna being asked the same question?
I find all of this just, it's pathetic.
And finally, from the late, great Damian Thorne, a.k.a. Sam Neill, rest in peace. Checkpoint Charlie with the $5. Found out from the homeless left that Sam Neill died and he was pushing the jab. This avatar is an image from Possession, 1981, insanely intense. I have not seen it. It came out at the same time as The Final Conflict came out. But this is a movie that he did, Jen, with Isabella Adjani, I think is how you say her name. Very intense movie that I have not seen, but would see it. Yes, I admit, last night, or was it? When I got home from the road trip on Tuesday, I did watch Jurassic Park. Had to watch it.
All right. Would you like a reward?
Yes.
Okay. You can have a brownie button, but that's about it.
You did give me a gummy. And though I don't think anything really came of it, it was definitely...
Those were the freebie gummies that came with what I bought when I was at the dispensary in DC. That's all they were. They were like little gummy favors.
Let's end on a friendly note, as we always do. We've got a little bit of Zio hunting to do. That's what we always
do. No,
yes.
We don't really though right now because it's late, right?
Okay, so do we have to go?
It's late. We end at 9:30.
Okay, so Jen is calling it. So, well, as you know, on Saturday, there will be plenty of Zio hunting to go.
Exactly.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
But smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I will see you on Saturday. And
free Palestine, guys.
Good night, guys.